Go.
Hey everybody, this is Craig Garver from Everyone Loves Guitar. I got to get my composure because I'm laughing so hard. I'm sorry. So we're with Darran Charles today. He's like such a cool guy, but he's one of these guys. He could be your next door neighbor. And he's so cool. You're having barbecues with him and drinking a beer and you don't know what the hell he does. And he's hilarious. I cannot even look at him right now because we were laughing so hard. And then his band Godsticks makes such great music, and the guy's voice is just amazing. His guitar playing is really good. Anyway, I don't know how I'm going to get through this if I just look at him in the eye. Anyway, so we have fun on this show. Anyway, a couple of quick announcements. I want to thank Bruce Sword from the Pineapple Thief and Matt Stevens from the Fierce and the Dead for connecting us. And also, don't forget to go to everyonelovesguitar.com/subscribe, and you can check out and subscribe to the show on YouTube and on iTunes. All righty, more about Darran, and I cannot look at him, honestly. Sorry, it'll be a minute or two. I'll regain my composure. Darran's a lead singer, writer, founding member, and guitarist for the band Godsticks. Godsticks is a prog rock band from Wales since 2008. That's Wales, W-A-L-E-S, not W-H-A-L-E-S. Since 2008, they've released 4 studio records and 1 EP. Their 5th studio album, Inescapable, came out this week, so I really like you to check it out. It's a great record. We're going to talk about some of the songs today. The band has supported major acts like the Pineapple Thief, like I said, Bruce Sword, the Aristocrats with Guthrie Govan, Mike Keneally Band, who we had here on the show a long time ago, as well as others. They performed at major prog festivals, including the Stone Free Festival at the O2 in London, and they headlined the very first Fusion Festival just outside of Birmingham, England. Darran, I'm going to try to look at you without being hysterical. Thank you so much for coming on the show. This guy's the funniest human being on earth.
Don't build me up to be the funniest person because it's going to be a massive letdown.
Man, thank you.
Be invited to any barbecue. I wouldn't have any barbecue. One that on the record. I wouldn't invite anyone over my house for one, and I certainly wouldn't be outside. That's the last place I would be cooking food.
I thought you guys don't you like everybody in England when I talk to them, they come to America, they go to Texas and they eat barbecue, man.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No,
we're gonna have a vegan barbecue. He's gonna come to.
We don't get the weather. If like Wales or Britain don't get the weather for barbecues anyway.
Yeah, that's true, man.
That's a lie that you can put out a barbecue in Wales quite easily.
Let's get this started before I lose it. Your first LP, Godsticks' first album, Spiral Vendetta, was really well received. So much so that you got booked for like tours and festivals right away for bands like the Pineapple Thief and the Aristocrats. You got a worldwide distribution deal, which is really unusual in general. And so I was curious what good came out of that for you, and what were some of the big lessons learned, either personally or musically or as a band, that let you keep momentum moving forward after that first record?
It's probably delusion, believe it or not, more than anything else. It's because it's quite. Because when we released the EP and then we eventually recorded the album, it was really, really well received. Because this is the first time I'd even entered the music world. I was like 28, 29 at the time or something, and I just up until that point I hadn't been in any bands or anything like that. So we released this sort of EP and then went on to the album, and it was so well received. So I by like online. Look, I didn't even realize there was such a massive online community for like prog music and this kind of music. So it was really well received. And I started to think, yeah, we should be fucking signed, And then so like I was just like pestered everybody. Then it's like pestered all the letters. That's like it's only 10 years later that we got signed. But I began thinking, this is so well received. We should be signed to a label. So I just started contacting them, and I would phone people up. I'd phone up labels. I'd phone up everybody. Like it wasn't just email. It was just like I said, it was a determination filled by delusion, because I didn't really I had no idea what the music business was like. I just thought, oh, this is well received. And we're critically acclaimed, therefore we're entitled to something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I would just keep pestering, and that's how we got it anyway. That's how we got eventually got distribution, because I would pester some record companies. And they, they would start saying, and I'd start at the top as well. So I'd start going to the big rec companies thinking, one of these would sign us. And eventually my expectations would become smaller and smaller. So I started contacting the smaller ones. And then they all said no, obviously, or looking to sign anyone. But they all started putting me in touch with various distribution places. Like I started, so I got a couple of contacts from America. And I remember being in touch with one called Birdus in the Netherlands and things like that. So that's how I secured, distribution and anything else, is because I just kept pestering people, just getting on people's nerves. And that's sort of the key to what I've done. As you probably gathered, I'm just a pain in the ass. But that's I turned that into a positive. It's just by always my motto was always I always got to get an answer. Whether it's no, I don't mind the answer being no, but it's just I got to get an answer. You're probably the same as well. It's just keep pestering until you get an answer, and then if they say no, fuck, I move on.
Right.
That's sort of everyone's sort of online persona anyway. There as a band is always a little bit more inflated than it actually is, but. I just think that's how I eventually got somewhere, or at least eventually got those distribution deals and those opportunities, just by just getting on people's nerves and keeping on and on and on, and having a sense of entitlement in a weird way.
Yeah, but that took a lot of balls to do that. Not a lot of people do. Not a lot of people, especially creative people, are willing to pick up to hustle like that. No,
you got to be, and that's because one of my wife's friends, he was a musician. I won't name names, obviously, but. When he did some EP, he just sent it out to loads of record companies, just mailed it out, and then just sat in his chair and waited for an answer, waited for someone to contact him. And it don't work like that.
No.
Nothing works.
Nothing works like that.
No area of life works like that. So why would music be any different?
Yeah.
So, that's why I would always ring. I even remember, because I always wanted to get, when we was getting I got coverage in guitar magazines again, just because I noticed, and in the front of guitar magazines there would be their phone numbers, so I would just ring people up, because ultimately, if you put someone on the spot, usually especially a British person, they can't wait to get rid of you. They'll say anything. It's just, oh yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, just fuck off, please. That's what it is to me, and that's how I got. So even I started getting coverage in guitar magazines then. Just because I was phoning them up and they just wanted to get rid of me. And so I started thinking, oh, maybe I should be having some endorsements. Yeah, I should be having some guitar endorsements. Yeah. So I'd start phoning people. So I'd start phoning companies then. And I remember just phoning. I somehow found that the Fender A&R guy in America, I somehow found his number. And I remember ringing him up, and I can't remember what the guy's name was. I just rang the number. He said, hello, and I said, oh, is this such and such? He said, yeah, you're the Fender A&R guy. He said, and I started introducing myself. And at the end of the comment, how did you get my number? And that was the first thing, how did you get my number? And eventually he had to give me his email address. They told me no, obviously, in the end. But nonetheless, I got an answer out of them as well. I was just tracking people down. I don't think I've got that kind of energy these days, or at least I think that I'm resigned. I wouldn't say that I'm less optimistic. I just think that I'm less inclined to beg. I don't think I ever begged, but I'm less inclined to. Well, you probably know the parameters better, that what's realistic and what's not. Yeah, that's probably it. But also, I'm fed up of just asking for stuff, and I'm doing stuff for people for little or no return, because I ended up doing loads of stuff, and lots of it worked out great. We would end up putting tours like for Mike Keneally and things like that. We put the tour, me and my wife Rhiannon, we put the tours together. We actually booked all the European venues, booked all the UK venues. Everything was riding on us, and that was the first thing we ever did. Because we found out, we tried to make things happen for ourselves. That's what we did, instead of just with our fingers crossed, thinking, maybe if you build it, they will come. Yeah, that shit doesn't happen in the movies. We did it. And those things are not as easy to come by anymore, those opportunities. Like we did it with the Aristocrats. We put a tour together for them. We did it with Mike Keneally. But these days, there aren't those opportunities to offer tours to people. We'll do this and we'll do that, because a lot of tours are all featuring 3 or 4 bands now.
Yeah.
And they're already set up. You know, it's difficult to get on things, and it's also difficult to create those kind of opportunities for yourself. But that's what we did. We was making it happen ourselves, and we did a really good job on it as well, putting these tours together, because we just have to put 100% effort in, and it ends, you know, and it's not just selfish, you know, we're not just doing it for selfish promotion as well. We actually want to do a good job for the artists that we're bringing over. And I guarantee if you speak to any of them, like Mike or anything, I'd tell you that we did a great job, because I know we did, because we give a shit.
I rang him before this and he said you were wonderful.
Did you really?
No,
I am
I didn't.
Wonderful.
I didn't.
I bet if you rang him, you'll say that I'm wonderful.
But I know you are.
No, you'll say Rhiannon is wonderful. That's what you'll say.
Yes. But you know what? So you were effectively you guys were the booking agents.
We were everything. We were the booking agents, the promoters, everything. The response. We hired the venues, you know. And again, is like we'd ended up like phoning promoters in Europe and being on having conversations with them. And like, I remember just contacting like there's like a school of music in Nancy in France. I probably pronounced that wrong, but I remember that the promoter that I'd been in contact with, who said, we suggested to him via Mike, said, oh, you know, they used to book, you know, these type of acts for their students. And he said, oh, I've tried them and you can't get hold of them. So I just took that, bollocks. And so eventually I tracked down the number, phoned them, and I got them to make an offer eventually, just by, you know, just being determined. I just determined.
That's great.
But yeah, that's the kind of effort.
Holy shit.
That's the kind of efforts you have to make. And there's people like you're talking about earlier on, like Matt Stevens and things like that. He's similar to me and just as determined as me. He's probably also a bit more wiser as I am, and probably doesn't do as much of it these days. But the only reason that him and his band got anywhere is just the sheer hard work that he did, you know, promoting himself and doing things for other people. And lots of times they do work out then, and it's reciprocated.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially with the bands. I've been fortunate with the people that I work with. But then there's some people that I work with, some booking agents that I work with, who are just users, you know. They're just users. And at some point now, I just think, oh, do you know what? Fuck off.
Yeah. You know, but that's, I think, having, as a guy coming out of the business world, that's the way you got to be successful in anything. It's like it's a grind, man, to get, you know, a buddy of mine gave me this analogy. It's like you got to get a plane, the momentum to get, and that is a grind, getting enough momentum. And then once it's up, you got to still grind because you got to keep it up, you know, and it takes a while till it's sort of like on autopilot.
And it's like true, like you said, it's true of every sort of
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to put the groundwork in. But the problem is, I sort of understand the reasons why there would be some musicians who sat back waiting for something to happen, because ultimately it's all about luck as well. You can put a certain amount of work and you can get so far. But if you don't get that break, you don't get that luck. That's the level you're going to stay at. But the problem is, you can stay at that level, but you'll still need to put the exact same amount of work in to stay at that level. Yeah. And then you get, as you get older, you just think, have I got the energy anymore? Wait, you need the break. You need the luck. Yeah. And like that can be the form of, like, you know, where there's a radio DJ who likes your music and starts playing. You just need someone to champion you.
Yes.
A lot of the times. And it's all blind luck. And that's something you've got no control over. And that's why, like, people like me and maybe yourself, who are prepared to work really, really hard, you can get sometimes disheartened and you think, well, do you know what? There's only so much I can do.
Correct. But sometimes you got to move on. If you're not getting, you know, I mean, you know, to do something for a few years or whatever, but to do something for like 15 years, you know, maybe that's not the smartest thing.
I agree. And that's sort of the way I'm thinking, you know, in the last couple of years. There's only so much effort.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I have to do everything. I have to give 100% effort because I never want to have any regrets. So I always put 100% effort into anything. So, but the moment that I know that I'm going to put 90% effort in is the moment that I'm going to stop, definitely, because I don't want to be like, I just don't want to be an arsehole, you know, just a naive. You have to be deluded to be a musician anyway. That's full stop. You have to be some element of delusion. But I don't want to be a naive idiot and just keep going on and on and on. If there's no audience, but as you said, if the audience doesn't continue to grow, or it's not an acceptable level. There has to come to a point you say, oh, look, it didn't work out. I had to go. And that's the main thing.
Right, right. You mentioned that you didn't really start in a band till you were 28.
No,
Godsticks was this is pretty much your first band and your first baby.
First and last.
Yeah, first and last. What was the first break that you got which allowed this to happen? If there was a break.
Yeah, I don't think there was. I really don't think. I genuinely don't think that I've had the break yet. That might seem really, given that I suppose being signed is the break that we've had, because as I said earlier, there's only so much you can do on your own anyway.
Yeah.
But what was the question?
What was your first break?
I haven't had one. That was it. That's it.
Yeah. Getting signed, case go.
Yeah, but I don't think up until that, I don't think that I've had the break. That sounds really petty when I say that. I'm just ungrateful.
No, it doesn't, because you're not. Other guys have said the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people said the same thing. It's just like it's not. It's I guess break means different things to different people.
Yeah.
I think when people think of a break, they think like the iPhone, but that's not realistic. A break could be, like you said, a DJ played your song. Like I talked to a band, a funk band, a bass player from a funk band earlier this week, and he goes, our first big break was we went to Germany and we played Rock Palace, but that particular night was the first time in the history of the show somehow they had it set up that you could play it on your stereo through the radio. Yeah. And he goes, we were on that show, so we were piped into like millions of homes all over Europe.
Wait.
And this was 1978, and he goes, today we still are big in Europe as a result of that. No so way. That's a break. I mean, so breaks come in different weird ways, man.
Yeah.
It
is luck, and the break, I think, is just, that means what's your big, it's always related to luck, I think, a lot of times. You do make your own luck to a degree, as we talked about. But I think that, I don't think that we've had a big break. And I don't necessarily think we deserve one. That's not what I'm not.
No, you're not sounding like, bitter about it or something. But yeah, I get it. Yeah. You've just been steadily, like most people, like people often say, hey, what was the big thing in your show? Like what guest really and I'm like, nobody. I'm waiting for that guy. I mean, I've had some people where there's been more listeners, but it's pretty much been like a steady climb. It's not been like, oh, wow, one guy came on and we got 10 times. That's just not how it's happened. It's a steady climb.
I would like that to happen. I would like a break. I'm not pretending that
of course, who wouldn't?
But I don't think that we've had. I know that I did start late, but that could be a regret. But it isn't really, because I don't.
How come you started late? Did you start playing guitar later, or you just?
No, I've been playing since I was about 11, maybe 11, 12. And I've always been, I started getting obsessed with it, when I was about 14 or 15. And from that moment onwards. And then I didn't like playing in front of people. That was something. That was something I didn't like doing. There was a couple of reasons. There was quite a few reasons why I didn't start soon. One of them was, the original one was I wouldn't play in front of anybody, but there was lots of people really who don't like playing in front of me. But then I had close friends that I did play in front of, just who were musicians as well. And then they would start saying, oh, this guy's pretty fucking good. You should hear him. He sounds great. And then he just built this big, huge myth, right? That isn't true. And it's there's just loads of pressure on you then. Hold on now. You're just making me up to be something that I generally wasn't even being immodest. It's they just be bigging me up to be something I wasn't. So they added a bit more pressure then. And I think that contributed to my just, do you know what? Until I'm perfect, and that was my big issue for and it still is to a degree, but that was my big issue. Until I can play perfect, until I can do everything and I'm perfect, I'm not gonna do anything. And a lot of the time when I started to get in my 20s and things like that, I've never really thought about joining a band or even wanted to be in a band. I wanted to compose music. That's all I ever wanted to do. I never imagined performing live or playing with a band. As soon as I got my first DAW or digital audio workstation, as they call it, a Cakewalk at the time and things like that. And I got a keyboard. I started transcribing stuff and learning, because I dabbled in learning to read music, but then I started studying theory and things like that, and reading and writing music. And then I started scoring things out in MIDI and things like that. And I started like writing compositions for like lots of different instruments, horn section, string section, everything. Like only didn't that really feature any guitar really. And that's all I would imagine myself doing for a while, is just writing music.
Right.
Like if I listen back to this, I've listened back to this music, it was insane at the time, it was just fucking insane. Because when he started work, you concentrate on like short bits of music. It sounds like if you give a schizophrenic a fucking, some manuscript paper, like because that's what happens, because you just be so concentrated on like small bits of music. It's insane, some of the music I used to write, but that's what I thought I was going to end up doing, is just composing and just passing sheets of music to, band members. That was sort of what I imagined doing. And then I practice and study, thinking that I'd become some sort of guitar teacher at some like a music school. So I'd study all different types of stuff on guitar. But yeah, that was the.
When did you get okay with not being perfect, or when did you get perfect? Which one? I don't know.
I don't think I've ever been okay with it. But
when did you become? That's a better question. When did you become cognizant of the fact that you're never going to be perfect, and that's okay, and doesn't mean you shouldn't make music?
It was, I think, the thing that, because I've always done stuff all I've ever done is I've done stuff to spite myself. That's all everything I've ever done is to spite myself, because like ultimately I don't really want to do anything, and I just force myself to do loads of things that I don't want to do, but I know that I should do. So like the first thing that I did to address it was like, I always wanted to go to the Guitar Institute in London.
All right.
Where I could never afford to do it, because I had, like everybody, they have to work. I was about 22, 23 at the time. So I had no choice but to work anyway, because I wasn't being able to live with my parents and whatnot anymore. Well, I think I was at the time, but it was, when we was back, our generation.
Yeah.
He wasn't supposed to be still living in the house at like 25 or anything like that. They wanted him out at 18.
Yeah.
It's different. Loads different now, but
no, we still.
I know you still want them out. They're not going anywhere. But you have to accept they ain't gonna. You made a lifetime commitment. That wasn't on the cards all those years ago. But I thought I'm gonna go. So like I was working for my father at the time. We had a building company. And I said, look, I gotta finish. I'm gonna do it. I am gonna do it. And he said, but I felt like really guilty, because like, it was a family business and I didn't want to leave him in the lurch. So he gave me the opportunity of, look, you can go there part time. Just do your work. Just work, come here 3 days a week and just travel to London. I did. That's what I did.
That's pretty cool, actually.
It was really good, and because you got to keep your option. You got, especially now. It was a bit different back when I was 25, but like, becoming a session musician these days, even back then, was tricky, because there was a lot of great, especially these days, there's a ton of great guitar players. There wasn't as many, but they were still growing, when I was my age. So, but there wasn't, it didn't feel like there was that many opportunities unless you moved to London, things like that. So
sure. How far? Wait a minute. So you had to drive to London twice a week?
No, I caught the train.
I was going to say, how many hours was that? That's not a 20-minute train ride.
Cardiff, like where I live, is Newport. So it was like 2.5. Well, it took about a half hour to get to the train station. There, it was 2.5 hours, and those trains are always fucking.
So it's fucking 6.5, 7 hours a day of traveling.
Yeah, easy. Yeah, I didn't mind that. I quite enjoyed it.
Wow.
I liked going on the trains. I did like.
That's a huge commitment, though, man.
Yeah, it was. But I liked it. I really liked it. But that was like, for me, for somebody who didn't play in front of anybody, and didn't want even. I wouldn't even now. Even these days, I don't really admit to anybody that I play guitar or I play.
That's why I said you're the kind of guy. You'd be my neighbor, and I would never know what the hell.
No, I won't tell you. I will not tell you, even if you led me into it. Even if you just started saying, even if you was to start talking about, think about it, you start talking about how much you love guitar and things like, I still wouldn't give you an intro.
I know that. That's why that's why I made that intro, because I know that's how you. I don't know why I know, but I know that's how you are. And I'd be like, you'd be very funny. And then I'd be on YouTube one day and saying, "What the fuck? Is that the guy
Loads
next
of people,
door?
loads of people who know me don't know I play in a band, and I don't know that I play guitar or anything like that. Loads of people who know me, but I don't know where it is. I don't know why. Because I don't want to talk about it. It's like a really personal thing. Like really, in a weird way, it's I just got a strange relationship with guitar, and not with music as much, but a strange relationship with guitar, because I think I've mentioned like in press releases and things like that about this album. Like my entire self-worth is wrapped up in guitar.
In how well you play.
Yeah, it's terrible, and it was like a proper.
Why? Why is that?
I don't know. I have no idea why. It's weird. It's because I think like when you dedicate so much of your life to it, you better been worthwhile. If you know what I mean. I always think for the length of time I've been playing and studying and practicing, I think that I should be a million times better than I am. A million times better than I am. Or at least be a million times more comfortable playing.
Yeah.
So that's what it's like. There's like an embarrassment aspect of it to me because I've.
Have you listened to yourself play?
It doesn't matter. It don't matter.
You're like a really competent, and if you combine songwriting and playing in your voice, which that is and it's always like that for me because I meet somebody on the show, or I talk to them initially like we did. We spoke a long time. We had a good laugh, but then I listened to your music. I'm like, how does that? I couldn't believe your voice, man.
Well, I can't start singing in my Welsh accent. Like,
no, but it was like
who do it. There are people who do it.
It was like your voice is amazing, man. It's almost funny that because like I'm like because I'm when you meet, it's like context. It's like meeting. It's like when you meet a coworker in the supermarket. And like out of context, you're like, oh, you shop for groceries too? It's just like,
perhaps that's why my wife's eyes are always closed around me.
Let me ask you this. You make really good videos, you guys. Your band makes very good videos. And I was curious, there's no budget for shit like that anymore. Do you guys just kick in and pay someone to do that for you? Or do you do?
I've always like even back when I started doing the EP, I thought if I'm going to do something, I want to do it properly. And that's like part of the reason why I have to work is because you still need, even when you're signed, it doesn't matter. Like
nowadays, of course.
Yeah, records still cost like, between back in, like when you're doing Spiral Vendetta, it cost between like 15 and 20,000 pounds just to make that album, have a CD run, the production costs and things like that. Is a ridiculous amount of money, and do it properly. To do a good job. Because back then, even the technology is even though the technology is there now with home computers and things, you can do a good job yourself. I think that I would never take credit for what a producer does because they make or break a band, and most bands will tell you that they make or break it. And like I've been lucky with producers, so like I always paid to get it done properly. I like when it comes to videos. Then I haven't got much of imagination when it comes to things like that. I've got like the idea of the storyline behind the song and things like that. And the guys that like the last person I worked with who did the last video for like Denigrate, for example, that was the one where we got slaughtered with cake ingredients. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I saw the one with the guy walking in the ocean.
Yeah, that was the other. Well, he's the same guy who did the new video.
That was a great video. That must have been, man. You're not in Florida. That had to be fucking freezing walking in that. That's what I was thinking, man. I was like, oh my. As long as
it wasn't me walking into that water, I couldn't care less.
But the whole thing was really well done. Yeah, in today's day and age, especially, man, it was a really.
He's a great guy. His name is George, and it's like Black Tide Audio, and he's like back when we did that video, that was for the last album, Face with Rage.
What song was that for?
Hard to Face.
Everybody check it out on YouTube. Hard to Face. Great video.
Well,
hold on, by Godsticks. Sorry, man. Trying to promote you.
I do appreciate it. He's the guy. We found him. Trying to. It's hard to find someone who does a good job for like a limited budget because like you can find some, some great. But anyway, he did that video, and I just gave him what the story of the song was, and he just ran with it. And I had very little input. None of the band had. We didn't have much input as to how the video would turn out because we are the experts. Anyway,
yeah, you didn't need any. Yeah.
No, I don't need to. And like, it's the same, like you watch this, if you enjoyed that video, you probably, and now you know me a little bit better, you'll definitely enjoy the new video for Denigrate, where we get pelted with cake ingredients for like 5 hours, which was only in the video is for 3 minutes, but on the day
it was 5 hours.
5 hours, and that's no exaggeration. 5 hours of just being pelted with everything from like custard, flour, eggs.
Is that something you guys do in Wales?
Or just pelt ourselves with cake ingredients?
Yeah, man, I'm just like, where did that come from? Yeah.
Well, this is it. Is
that a Welsh custom?
No. Well, I took the idea that
on the day after Boxing Day, maybe, or something.
Well, that was probably the state I was in on Boxing Day. It was the idea that we gave him behind the song was like, I said, this is a song about perfectionism, as we talk about. I said about nothing ever being really good enough or anything like that. Yeah, and he took that idea and came up. You'll struggle to relate the video to the song idea, but now I've told you maybe the meaning behind it, you might see it. But he took that and just went with like a baker who just baked cakes and believed that nothing she ever did was any good.
Oh,
serving just making more elaborate cakes that she thinks she had to make for this guy. This was all his idea, just based on the story that I gave him. Just the concept of perfectionism. So he took that and went with it. And
that's pretty cool.
Creative guy, and it'd be stupid. Like he's going to do another video for us next month, and it'd just be ridiculous for me to say, "Oh, use my," because I had a great idea for the next video, and then I slowly started to explain to him, and then he just dismissed it. And I'm happy for him to dismiss my idea because he comes up with great stuff. I'll stick with the music and let him do the video, I think.
That's very cool. Who's this guy, in case people are interested over in UK? What's his name?
They're called Black Tide Audio Visual Productions.
Very cool, man.
George. He does really, really great videos, I have to say.
Really good stuff. Man, let's talk about the new record, Inescapable. Very fucking intense. 9 songs, almost an hour long. Let's go back to your voice. Have you always sang? Like, have you always been the lead singer?
No. I've always been the lead singer of this band. I only started singing when I was about, when I was about 28, 29, something like that.
That takes a lot of ball. I mean, so to me, when you're playing guitar, you're at least hiding behind something, your guitar.
Yeah, but I got my guitar when I'm singing as well.
I know, but when you sing, that's like very vulnerable, man.
I don't see it as easy because it doesn't bother me, the singing part, because it's natural. Like anybody can sing, and they can. As to whether most people can sing, I think. Whether that makes them a good singer.
I would challenge you on that.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It's natural. You don't have to learn it. You can learn techniques to make yourself better, but like everybody can have a go at it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Everybody can sing. So I don't have to try. I don't have to forming a chord. There's like a best position to put this finger, that finger.
Okay.
There's the area of the fret where you put it, and then you've got to rely on muscle memory and things. There's just to form a chord.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, it's like 20 or 30 things you don't think about when you're doing it, but there's all those things going into the process. But where singing, it's not. You just sing. It's fine. I've learned. I think I went to somebody once, I don't know, about 7-8 years ago, maybe.
Like a vocal coach?
Yeah, just for breathing techniques more than anything else. And I've forgotten them all. But I think it did some good at the time. I think I've forgotten them all just thinking about it then. I've forgotten all the breathing techniques. I think the best advice I can give down is just relax, take deep breaths. But
you do great, though.
I probably wouldn't charge for tuition.
But you do great on the videos, though, man. Because I mean, like, it's like the camera's right on you, man. That's good. I think.
If I didn't have that guitar on, if I didn't have that guitar in front of me, it'd be a different story.
Oh, so that's like your Superman's cape or something.
Yeah, it would be. I'd just be naked. It would just be a render. Yeah. Trust me.
That's interesting, man. Yeah, but the videos, your voice is great. Okay, so I read that you wanted to be more self-reflective on this record. Now, depending upon what flavor of person I'm talking to from the United Kingdom, this could be like asking about your sex life, really personal.
We could cover that in a couple of seconds.
The song titles on the whole record are one word, basically adjectives that are all pretty deep emotions, you know. So just to let the listeners, it's called denigrate, victim, relief, surrender, numb, change, breathe, time, and resist. Those are all pretty intense. What's the theme of the record, and like what was behind this, and you being more self-reflective?
I just think it's to do something different, really, more than anything else. Because like the lyrics have always been fairly ambiguous, and I'm not saying they're necessarily autobiographical now. They're certainly more autobiographical than they were. But I don't really want to repeat myself all the time. And I have tendency to repeat the same. I'm always conscious of like words I might have used before and things like that. But it's all based on certain vowel sounds that I like, or certain ways.
But you also have a big catalog. It's almost impossible to avoid.
Yeah, but like there's certain things I want to try, but I don't want to repeat myself. So like I don't want to cover things that I've sung about before. I don't want to, and I haven't been self-reflective. And I also know that it's more interesting to people, I think, than a story of an album, or at least a story behind the song. Even though I might fail to recollect the vast majority of those stories,
sure,
I know when it comes to putting together information about an album, I know it's of more interest to people. I know that from like doing interviews myself, like when I do interviews for Guitar Magazine and things like that, when they send a press release for this particular band, it's more interesting to read if it's a personal story.
100%.
You probably know yourself. As if the band went into the studio on this date and on that date they did this. Blah blah. There's nothing to take from that from an interview. You know, when you come together an interview. So I was conscious of that. So cynically, perhaps I was conscious of that, but also the first and foremost, I don't like repeating myself. So I want to try something a little bit different. But it's always if I'm being perfectly honest, it's always the melody and the music that comes first, and the lyrics afterwards. Sure. The melody and the music always influence what the song is eventually going to be about.
Was there any particular like trigger that, or something, an event, or just like an idea or something that stimulated you to say, you know what, I need to be a little more
I haven't got anything intimate to get off my chest, if I'm honest. I haven't got any opinions about anything. I'm quite fluid with opinion. I know that like you're going to say, oh, like fuck, I've heard loads of opinions from you in the last like
the last 20. No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, was there a trigger that said, man, I need to, or was there an event that happened? I wasn't looking for like well, I don't like the situation politically, so that's not what I'm looking for.
No, I know. I don't.
Because that's a huge leap between telling stories and then like opening up. There's a big difference.
I'm not like, I suppose I'm never afraid to open up anyway, because I do believe that most people are fundamentally the same anyway. So I'm never embarrassed about opening.
Sure, they are. We all are. We all have the same bullshit to deal with in life, in one way or another.
So I never worry about stuff like that. And like I haven't got any lessons that I want to talk to people about, or things that are necessarily. I just want to talk about like the denigrate is probably the best example of just talking about perfectionism and things like that. I know that's affected me. But like that's probably the best example of like dealing with. That's probably the most personal songs. But again, it's not like it's nothing that really triggered it as such. I don't mind talking about it. I just wanted to do something a little bit different. There was nothing that triggered it other than look, let's try and do something a little bit different this time. Because I got no qualms about talking about anything. But I haven't got that many like problems really. I know I'm one of the lucky ones. Everyone's got it. It's all relative, people's issues. But
of course.
And I don't think that I've got any.
It does. I don't think it has to be. I mean, look, everybody's got shit to do. You don't get through life unscathed, no matter who you are.
No, I don't think so. And I think that, like I said, I'm lucky. I don't think that. I've been lucky so far. Let's see how this interview turns out.
It's the least of your worries. Trust me. I have a few songs on the record like "Numb," "Change," and "Breathe." "Numb," which would be like, I guess, the last song. If this was vinyl, it'd be the last song on side one, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And so I thought it was an appropriate placement, because usually that's where you put like fucking Stairway to Heaven or something like that, you know. Although I think Stairway to Heaven was the first song on the record, right?
They said that was Stairway to Heaven, you're right.
Yeah. But what I was curious, is there anything, what were, or what are you numb about, or what does numb reflect there?
I think that song is about the futility. That sounds depressing. The futility of things, really. It just, I don't mind there being little to no reason for anything. Like I'm not like a spiritual person or have any sort of religious beliefs, and I think that is just come to terms with the futility of stuff. I don't mind anything. Everything's pointless. Like I used to, but now these days I view that as, I wouldn't say it's a positive, but I'm just comfortable with things being meaningless. You know, it is. Oh, I know that sounds
just comfortable with things.
But I used to like always ask, "Oh, what's the point?" You know, and I always ask them, "What's the point? What's the point? What's the point?" And then eventually, they answered the question is like, nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
And I just think, oh, okay. And I just moved on from there, really. But there'd be times when I just, like, in the past, like I always, like when I was younger, I wanted to know. I always wanted to know what's the point of this? What's the reason for this? What's the reason for this? You know. And I believed there had to be some sort of purpose to everything. And then the older you get, or at least the older I got, I realized, well, not necessarily. We're just like, you know, there's no, and like, it's just not, like, these are just not necessarily beliefs. But like, you start thinking about, you know, well, there's no ant heaven, or there's no, like, you know, there's no heaven for insects and things like that. So, you know, I just wonder, you start thinking, well, maybe I'm just the same as any other animal out there. And like, maybe when I die, there's just going to be nothing. And I'm quite like, I see that as a good thing. I'm really positive, but like, people like need, I'm like, that's not like it's certainly nothing.
No, you're not like slamming anybody that feels
otherwise.
No, of course not.
Because I don't like atheism either, man. Because like I don't like any ideology or any degree of certainty with saying, "Oh, this is what I believe. I got faith in this." I'm not into any of that, because I just think, well, you know about as much as me, which is but fuck all.
Yeah.
So like, I'm comfortable with, like, I like living my life logically, you know, and like logic rules practically everything we do. You know, we don't cross the road open for some divine intervention that a car won't knock us over. We'll have a look left and right. So I start, you know, I like to live my life by that, is that I just try to be logically. Maybe there's probably nothing afterwards, right? But I don't know that for certain. But what I'm saying is, like, years ago I would have been uncomfortable with that, but now I'm I'm really comfortable with it being nothing. Like, I think I was reading something like someone mentioned, like, oh, you can't remember anything before you were born. So what are you worried about? You know, if it is nothing after you die, like, there's nothing to worry about. And I am quite comfortable with that.
Are you more of a science? Like, I've had guys on the show that are like engineer or scientist or you know, that's their mindset. And most of the guys that are like that tend to be logically oriented and not really thinking there's meaning of things. And then I have, you know, people that are super spiritual and they're like, well, everything has a meaning. So
I know,
it's just interesting.
Science and physics really interest me, but I'm too thick to understand any of it. So I constantly read in.
Physics is pretty difficult to understand.
Oh yeah, every time I pick up a physics book, I was reading something on like the Richard Feynman, was it? Essays of these famous essays. I always pick these physics books and I order them on Amazon, and they go, oh, yeah, and all of a sudden, oh god, you know, I don't know what.
So tough. It's so
it's fascinating as well, because like that's sort of things I don't understand. I always find fascinating. I want to learn more about all the things I don't understand, and that's what I like about science, I suppose, is that quest for understanding. If we stopped saying, you know, if hundreds of years ago we said, oh, I think we've got all the answers now. I bet at one stage everyone thought they had all the answers. So, like, I like the fact that people are still on the quest for knowledge. Yeah. I've got no opinion one way or the other spiritually. I just think I'm just happy what I don't know interests me. But I also think there's an answer to practically everything. If you look, just because you don't know what the answer is, that doesn't mean you should stop.
Doesn't mean there's no answer. Yeah.
No, it just means you just have to try a bit harder. But there's things perhaps it'll never be explained, but that doesn't stop me from searching for them. But like I said, I'm not saying that I don't like I said, I don't like really atheism or anything like that. Nobody is certain what on earth happens. It's still fucking weird. Whichever way you want to look at it, all this life thing is really weird. What on earth are we doing? Like, where did this come from? It's so bizarre. So I can understand from, like, you know, creationists. I can understand their point of view, and weirdly, I don't, just because I don't subscribe to it.
Yeah.
It's still amazing. All of it is.
Talk about. It's funny because you have all these songs with sort of like denigrate, victim, relief, surrender, and then the seventh song is called Breathe, and it was really interesting because the whole timbre of the music on that track was very different from like the other songs. It was much more in line with like breathing, you know, it was much more open and it was much more relaxed. What was that track about, Breathe?
Do you know what? I even wrote it down because I even forgot. I forget what half these things do because I
totally get it. Dude, I totally get it.
I got to learn the lyrics and I fucking forget about what everything. And then, like I said, Rhiannon, before this interview, I said, you know, I'm looking for it now. I said, before this interview, I said, tell me what this song is about, because I've forgotten, because she's the gatekeeper to all my lyrics at the moment. All my things. So I'll tell you, hold on, I've written it down on this piece of paper here. This is a imaginary conversation with her. I don't know if this is
That's what the song is about?
Yeah, well, you know, like imagine she's saying you'd like to get away from this drama and stress of all life, both external and within your own head. The war in verse 1 is the war you wage with yourself. The line "only when I breathe" means that you only feel calm and peaceful when you take the time out to relax. So, like, because like most of the things, Rhiannon helps me with the lyrics because like she's the only one I confide in any sort of things in. You know, because although, you know, I lived most of my life in my head, and like I was talking about it just the other day, you know, it doesn't, all of these, like, Rhiannon's, like going on, like, trips and holiday makes Rhiannon happy. And I say, I enjoy it. I say, and I really do enjoy going away. But, like, the only problem is, and like people say, it's like, I got to go with me. Like, you know, I still got to,
I've got to go with me.
Yeah, and that's
great.
It's like torture, and it's not so bad anymore. But like, you know, years ago, I just get on my own fucking nerves. You know, just traveling about me in my own head.
Dude, what are you so stressed about? My God, don't they have? Is weed legal there?
No, that don't make any difference.
I know, but that's what everybody hears. Like, there's suddenly, like, and I'm not making fun of this, so let me just come out and say it, but like 95% of the American people have anxiety and smoke weed for it. It's really interesting. Yeah, it's like it's just, yeah,
chicken and egg thing. Really.
Yeah, it's almost like which came first, the chicken or the egg. Yeah, it's exactly. Well, you know, the egg, I don't know, but everybody's got anxiety, and like, you know, I'm not, you know, at all making fun of people that genuinely have anxiety, of course, but I mean, everyone's got it, you know, and it's just weed
is not a cure for that.
It's a weed. I know but people don't want to. I don't know, but it's a weird culture we're living in now, where everybody.
Yeah, well, that's the last thing I would take, and like that's why I don't really drink or any. Well, I told you before, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything. Just not because of any commitment to being teetotal or anything like that. Is because it just brings out, again, you know, if I had a drink and I was drunk, my mind's usually fairly clear, and like I'm just listening to this arsehole talk bollocks, you know, and that's all I can hear is, oh God, shut it, you know, and that's why I can't escape myself. That isn't an escape, like, you know, that's why I have to, like, that's why I never understand people, like, and this isn't a criticism, it's just like I can't fathom why people who are like grieving, for instance, turn to drink or something like that to forget about it. I can thinking, how does that work? That doesn't make any sense to me, because you're still, if I'm stressed, like if I go on stage and I've got an headache or anything like that, I won't take any painkillers or anything until after the show, because I don't like being under the influence of anything, because it just doesn't do me any good. It doesn't do me any good. I can never take a break for myself. And it's been good that I don't drink or anything, because I've sort of come to terms with myself, and just, it's not like they're learned, it's just becoming accept.
You learn to tolerate yourself.
Yeah, and that's what it is. I just got to learn to tolerate myself. And
That's wild, man.
It's not easy, you know, because I'm okay these days. As you get older, you calm down a little bit.
Yeah, you calm down for sure, man.
But like, you know, that voice in your head, you know, there's that voice, like, and I've got friends like who suffer from similar things to me with like negativity, like, you know, even though I'm like an optimist, I used to be, believe it or not, I'm an optimist.
I was going to say,
I'm a realist is what I'm saying, is what I think I'm a realist, is sort of I'm an optimistic realist, if that's a thing. But before I was like really negative, I just get negative with things. And I always used to say, you know, that negative voice in your head, imagine if that was an actual person, they'd be the biggest piece of shit you've ever met in your life. You'd think, how are you still walking on two legs? Someone should have beaten the living
oh my God.
thing.
Yeah, man, you have a harsh critic on one of your shoulders, man, is what it is.
He's terrible. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah,
he's not helpful either. Like, he's just not helpful at all. And he's got a bigger mouth than me.
Yeah.
You know? He just doesn't shut up, just pointing out how shit you are. Or just, you know, like I used to, Christ, how many times have like you got up, like we used to be like at 3 o'clock in the morning just to, you know, have a piss. And like, and then it's the voice in your head from thinking, oh, remember that thing you did 10 years ago that you was really embarrassed about and humiliated? Like at 3 o'clock in the morning, like 10 years ago. Where the fuck did that come from? You piece of shit. And imagine if that was a person.
Yeah.
Imagine if that was a person just tapping you on the shoulders, you're having a piss, saying, hey, yeah, yo, remember what you did 10 years ago? You beat the living shit out of it. Wouldn't you shut the fuck up and get back to bed?
My buddy has when he's having a downtime, he said he wakes up in the morning and at 4 a.m. and every single problem in the world has to be solved immediately. So he's like so fucked he doesn't get to, you know, it's like torture, because like all of a sudden like, oh, I got to fix this. I got to fix right now at 4 a.m. And it's like your whole day, you know, you just shot.
Yeah, because I used to have to practice making sure that I, you know, left the bed to the bathroom with my eyes closed. I could do it with my eyes closed in the end, just so it's like, stay with my, just focus, because you want to go back to sleep, Don't let that thought creep in your head.
The worst thing is this, you pick up that phone.
No, my phone's off at the night.
Yeah,
I
mine
won't do
too.
it, but like, I don't have that problem anymore. It's like, I don't know how I ever cured myself of me. But it's certainly, it isn't as bad. It's just, I don't get those issues anymore. I sleep okay. And
Good.
Because I think, I tell you what, did cure it. And it's something that I always
maybe you had some depression, to be honest with you.
I've always had it in bouts anyway. I've always had it. But but I got a like controversial solution, as you could imagine. With depression, I'm quite comfortable with the shame of it, if you know what I mean, because a lot of people feel ashamed feeling depressed a lot of times.
I think that's changing. I think talking about that it
has changed. Well, I'm always
it's really
whatever
important.
works for anybody, whatever works for you is the approach you should use, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
but I quite like the shame element of it. It's not that I like feeling ashamed. Feeling ashamed was the motivation for me, because I thought, you've got no business feeling like this.
Right.
You've got absolutely no business feeling like this. You need to pick yourself up. You need to get back on with it. I always seen it as a battle. I always seen it as a personal battle. Everything with my depression and with just perfectionism. This is a battle that I'm having with myself. I ain't going to lose it. Like, it's always like, I've got to fight. It's a constant fight. It's like an addiction in a weird way. Like when people, it's there forever. And you will always be fighting it. And I seen the shame always motivated me. So like talking about it don't do any good for me. I don't mind talking about it. Not shame now, but like growing up, you know, going through it, it was shame.
I have some buddies that have depression. I have a lot of compassion. It's really hard. I don't
mind it, but I still I feel that I'm justified in feeling ashamed. in a way of it, because there are people there's people who should be depressed and who've sort of earned the right to be depressed because of their circumstances. I know it's not as simple as that, of course, because a lot of it internal. It definitely isn't. But for me, it was good to feel that shame, because that was the motivation for me to not to snap out of it, but to recognize it as a battle and to fight it all the time. Yeah. There are other way. I understand the reason for, like, there's a lot of people on social media. The thing is with social media, you can't judge people. If you judge people by their social media profile, the world is full of arseholes. You know, you can't judge people.
Well, it's just not. Somebody told me the other day, social media is the edited movie.
Yeah, and it is, and it's just, and it's, you know,
you have all the pieces of the rest of the movie on the floor that you don't see.
Something you said just a minute ago is, like, I think indicative. I think of males especially, and me, and this is why I say it, and that's why I'm not worried about causing offense, is because I feel the same way. It's like when you say, like, you took pills, and it's like, and you all immediately qualify, just like I do. I don't like to take pills. It's basically saying I don't like to take drugs. Like, I don't like to be dependent on anything.
Oh, for me, it wasn't that. I don't trust. I'm like, I don't trust what's going in my body. Like,
yeah,
what?
There's all this shit going in your body, especially American fucking food hygiene standards. Anyway,
well,
like,
I don't eat shit like that anyway. I eat real clean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, and that's why I don't eat any of that stuff.
Well, the best thing I ever did, and this took a lot, is like, it did get bad. And I, like, the reason I don't like talking about it, right, is because it's not that I don't like talking about it. I don't like making an issue of it. It's because I think that everybody in some point in their lives has to deal with it. I've dealt with it a long time, but I always a lot of it was due to the perfectionistic thing, and having all my self-worth wrapped up in things, which is not healthy anyway. And it's not that necessarily cured myself of that. It's just you get older and wiser. But one of the best thing I ever did is that, because I read I went through everything, tons of self-help books, like on cognitive behavior therapy, anything you can think of. I always try and read my way, and you'd have moments, you'd have epiphanies and think, yeah, this is it. But this is like a lot of my problems is that I was either up or down, up or down, up or down. So you get like epiphanies going, yeah, this is the way forward, you know. Then you'd start adopting all these principles, and you go in, you'd give 100% dedication to something, which is just stupid. You always got to keep your mind open to everything. There's no one solution for anything.
No,
like,
not usually.
What I did in the end was, like, I said, do you know what? Like, there was people, I got prescribed antidepressants in the end, because I went
but that helps a lot.
Yeah, it fucking cure it. And you know why? And this is why I don't like talk. Because I think it's definitely a male thing, is where you say, I don't want drugs. I was like afraid. I don't want drugs. I don't want to be dependent on anything. I don't need it. It makes me less. You know, I've never verbalized it, or I probably never actually thought it. But I think being dependent on something, I always feel makes you less of a person. I always thought that subconsciously, possibly.
That's but that's that same guy that's whispering in your ear all the other shit that's not accurate.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, like, I did it. Like, I did it. So I remember going to the doctor and said, look, and then he wouldn't give me them straight away. And I was a bit concerned anyway.
Come to America. You can go to 10.
I know. You can get them off a fucking shelf, probably.
Probably, yeah.
But, like, he said, you're going to have to have some therapy, like 5 weeks of therapy first. And I thought, you know what, why not?
Yeah.
So I did it, and I knew it wouldn't do any good, because I knew that I would find a way to discredit this person immediately in my own head. That's what I did, and I found that I got him immediately, and I sort of just giving him lip service in the end. But yeah, whatever. And, like, he did sort of, like, he got me to uncover one insight, and one thing that he did that, like, and this is, like, reason, like, I feel sorry for parents as well, right? This is a terrible thing to say, but also, you know, I'll explain now. Like, I remember, like, I was talking about the perfectionistic thing, and I remember saying, is there any one event, you know, that I think that could have contributed to this? I always remember this as well. It's like when I was, like, about 9, 10, I used to play football or soccer, as you've got no right to call it. It's fucking football. Um, we're going to that a bit later. Anyway, I remember playing football when I was 10, and I remember that I scored like a hat trick, which is the
3.
Do you want a hat trick? Yeah, well, nice. And that's sounding really patronising, man. I don't know, do I?
No, it
Because
means the same thing. Yeah, you wouldn't know. It means the same thing over here, a hat trick.
Okay. Anyway, and my father came out to watch me that day, and he did always used to take me to football, and he'd watch. And he scored, and I remember after the match ended, I went to see him, and like expecting some praise, and I did get praise, and I remember him. I distinctly remember him saying when he scored the 3rd goal, you should have followed it in, because I remember just letting the ball go across the line, right? And like, and I think that is the sort of thing. This sort of, I think you can't choose childhood memory. But he wasn't doing anything. He wasn't undermining anything. It was like, that's why I feel sorry for parents. It's like, one thing that he was basically saying, don't rest on your laurels. That's what he was saying. It's like, don't rest on your laurels, see it through to the end, thing like that. I never see, like, in my head, I never thought about it at the time, but it's like any weird that's a memory that I carried over. It's like, that could well be.
No, but that could well be, yeah, the trigger.
Crazy. How fucking, and like, rather than like that, like, there'll be some parents who might listen to this and go, oh, that's a terrible thing. No, it wasn't a terrible thing to say. Just imagine how much responsibility being on your shoulders, you being a parent as well, thinking, if I could say one thing, just one tiny sentence that could fuck my entire child's life up. It hasn't, because like, but I'm saying like, it could be, I might not have done anything, but subconsciously, it's like,
no, that could be the,
and it's terrible.
Yeah, but that could be just a tangible example of a memory, and you don't know why you have this thing, but I don't know that it, and sometimes I don't even, look, if you can identify it, great, makes it a lot easier to work through it. And if you can't.
I don't disagree with him, though. That's the thing, even now. I think that he said what he said was right. I think it's correct. Don't rest on your laurels. Don't watch the ball cross over the line. Follow it in, you prick. He didn't say that. Yeah. But like, if he did say that, it would have been a bit worse. But like, I think that I would probably say the same. It's like, but what it is that now I am not interested in anything that I do. And like in life, I am not interested in what I can do.
Yeah, you're interested in how you could do something better. Yeah, but you know what, man? But you do realize the bar you're setting is never when you're doing that. You have an unachievable, completely, thoroughly unachievable bar.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, going back on topic. So, like when I finish with the therapy, I give him his little insight. I go, well, you can have that. You can pretend it's yours. It's then yours. It's mine. Fuck off. But anyway, so I let the therapist have it. It felt like it. But then I still went back to the doctor and said, oh, that didn't work.
Did they expect you to fix this in 5 weeks?
I think it was 5-6 weeks. It was a prerequisite before I could have any tablets. It was like, you got to do it before you can have any tablets. Anyway, so he prescribed me those tablets. And do you know what? You can, like, I think you sent me a question. What was the happiest moment of your life?
That was it?
Right? No, that wasn't it. It was about 4 weeks later. I think he said these won't kick in for about 4 weeks. And I remember genuinely the happiest time of my entire life, 40 odd years, I remember going to bed once, like after 4 weeks after I started taking these tablets. And I remember just feeling okay. Right?
That's great.
I remember, and that was the happiest time of my life. And like,
did you stop taking them?
No, I still take them now.
Oh, great.
I try, and that's why I talk about it, because I don't want it shouldn't be a stigma, right? Because these tablets.
It's not over here. I have had so many people come on the show.
It's definitely over here. They don't do anything. These tablets, all they ever do, I don't feel any effects of them at all. All they've allowed me to do over the years, because I don't think they have any effect at all now, man, to be perfect.
You don't know that, because if you stop taking them...
I don't want to stop taking them, and I don't want to take the risk. But what it did give me is it allowed me perspective. That's what it gave me. It's the ability to gain a little perspective and just look at the bigger picture. And that's what I've sort of... now, I'm always on... I've always... want to be I'm on an even keel. I don't like being all the way up there, and I don't like being down there.
Yeah.
I'm always on an even keel. I'm quite philosophical, and I think it's not really the tablets that do it at all. I don't think that, but they've allowed me the ability to have that perspective. Because now, like when we're talking about what do you think is the cure, or why do you think you've changed? It's because I always thinking, I haven't got that long left. I'm always conscious of time, thinking, do I really, like, when we're talking about getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning for a piss, and like something from 10 years ago bothering him. Now I think, I think in my head, do I really want this to dominate my thought space? I haven't got that much time on this earth, and I'm going to allow this thing to dominate my thoughts.
Yeah, but then clearly these tablets are having an effect, because you couldn't have. Yeah, you wouldn't have the wherewithal to have, as you call it, perspective. You'd be swallowed by that thing.
Yeah, and that's what they did. And like,
man.
Whether they work or not, they've never given me any artificial feelings of elation or anything like that. Nothing. They've always just given me a bit of perspective and allowed me to be on an even keel. And they've changed me, and that's the thing. That's probably the most important decision I made in my life, to spend with the stigma. And like talking about it, like, it's still hard admitting to it, because it's like, I'm dependent on something. It's sort of like you admit that you've lost.
Man,
I don't give a fuck, because because I know what it's done for me, then I always admit it to people. If someone tells me they feel depressed, I always say, well, give things a go, but always leave that as an option as well if you wanted to, because I can say that they work for me, but like, they are not the cure for everybody. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they shouldn't be taken off the table. I think that for me, it's been a combination of self-help and artificial help.
No, but I think that's great. And I have had so many guests on the show talk about mental illness, depression, because it does need to get out there more, because people shouldn't be ashamed of it, because it's not like, when I was talking about before, like everybody has anxiety, what I was saying is everybody just wants to smoke weed legally. So they say I have anxiety, but like genuine mental illness and depression, I think is fucking critical. And everybody, I think there's no shame in that at all.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of it is, I think the talking about it is good, because knowing someone else is going through it, it does make things easier. But I think it does make things easier, but also that doesn't mean you don't need to work on yourself. And I think the talking about it is helpful, but it's always really important. I think it's still important to work on yourself. Not just talking about it isn't going to help. You got to
do the work. It's no different than having an injury. I hurt myself in the gym. Okay, well, I got this mechanism to hold my arm up or whatever, but now I got to rehab it. You got to, of course. But I think it helps other people. I think you're paying it forward a bit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because it does. Like with my generation, and maybe yours, I don't know if it's the same. There's some people you just see on social media there's a minority of people who use their depression and just verbalize their depression in order to get extra likes, or just for somebody to say, and I know this sounds terribly cynical, you may have to cut it out, but people do it. I've seen people that I know do it, just saying, just for the extra boost of confidence.
For the empathy.
Yeah, for a boost of confidence. That's definitely not me painting that everybody say. I just know that I've seen other people do it, which is why I say that, yeah, I do think it's good to talk. It's very important to talk about it, but you still can't rely on external validation for like coping with it. You still got to do the work.
You got to do the work, man. That's true of everything, though. That's true of everything.
It is, and it's the cognitive behavior therapy. That would have cured me, and it would cure a lot of people, I think. But what I realize is that takes a fucking lot of work. We're talking constantly applying it. It's dedication on a daily basis, and it requires a shitload of effort. And let's be honest, most of us, it's really hard. It's like,
hard.
With the memory thing as well, just like I can improve. I know that I think everybody's got the ability to improve their memory if they want it, because there's techniques, but those techniques require a shitload of effort.
Right.
And not many people, including myself, can put the time in, because it's a lot of work.
No, but it's just a question of what's important to you, you know, and what's not. It's just like playing guitar, right?
Yeah, I suppose it is. Yeah.
You know, I mean, how much effort are you willing to put in to get good? How much can you put in? You know, it depends how much you want. I think depends on what it means to you. If the people who want a better memory really desperately, they'll put the work in, and the people who don't won't. You probably have other priorities besides getting a better memory.
I wish I had a better memory. I think it's just because of that. I do wish I had, but I'm just not willing to make an effort.
Geez, we'll have to have another episode with you just on memory technique. You're going to be a volume. This is going to be like the Darran Charles series of podcasts. You know,
we could just go the world according to this prick.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. The world according to
one of 1,000. The non-self-help guide.
What did where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Wales, in Cardiff?
Yeah, well, it wasn't in Cardiff. I grew up in the Valleys, which is...
is that like a big town, city?
It's just the rough part of Wales, basically.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. It is. I say rough. Yeah, it is the rough part of Wales. Like the rest of the band members, they're all from like Cardiff, which are Welsh Cockneys, if you probably won't get the reference. And actually British people won't either. It's just something I made up. It's just that they sort of like city folk rather than city Welsh people, rather than scum like myself.
What were you always drawn to prog, progressive music, progressive rock?
No, I don't think so. Well, I think the reason, like most of my listening, is based on what my father listened to when growing up. I'm glad that so I got a good grounding in everything, because he had quite a wide range of tastes, but predominantly it was rock music. So I grew up listening to Deep Purple, Sabbath, Rainbow, all the classic rock, which had elements of aggressive stuff in them anyway.
Yes.
I think maybe he had some Yes. I'm not sure. I don't think that he did, to be honest with you. But that's why I think I was subconsciously drawn to that kind of music. And then, but then again, like my first, I think I also liked pop music. So I don't know if I rebelled. It's just I quite like Wham and things like that. And I think my first record was a Culture Club record.
Wow, that's interesting.
I know. But I think that I had a grounding in rock and metal that sort of never left.
Sure. Well, Deep Purple, a lot of their stuff could be considered prog, even. You know? Very much of it.
They're amazing. You know, I remember
incredible band.
Yeah, and I did, like I said, I was lucky because my father, he wouldn't just play music in the car. He would fucking blast music in the car. It would be full volume at all times. So like, I have no other direction to go in when you think about it.
That's funny, man. You write for one of the guitar magazines in the UK?
Yeah, I write for, they're called guitar.com now, but the magazine is called the Guitar Magazine. But I also used to write for Guitarist magazine before that.
How did you get involved in that, and like, what do you like about doing that?
I don't like anything. You know, the thing that I like about how I got involved in it is Chris Vinicum, who used to work for Guitarist, but now is the editor of Guitar Magazine. Him and the editor Jamie Dixon of Guitarist Magazine, they asked, I don't know, Chris knew me because his girlfriend is a photographer, but they both asked me if they didn't have anyone at the time to do demos of rock and metal guitars. Like that wasn't
okay.
So like they asked me if I would do it, and I thought, oh, John, that'd be a good opportunity.
Yeah.
So I started doing that, and
and it was this video at the time, or just writing?
It was a video. It was a demo video. The first guitars I demoed was a Music Man John Petrucci model and a Steve Lukather model.
That's cool.
And I remember so I did.
Did you get to keep any of these guitars? Never.
I ain't gonna admit to anything on. I ain't gonna admit to anything, right? But I remember doing that video. So Chris was like, because Chris knows me, on a personal level, and he knows how I talk as well. I remember he was sort of, even though it was unspoken at the time, I know that he was thinking, all right, you might be able to play, but you're gonna have to talk on you, and you're a fucking idiot. He probably thought, here we go. He's probably going to think. I think he was assuming I was going to say, "Hey, this fucking guitar is fucking great." Honestly,
thought you'd have no filter.
Yeah, no filter. I know, it's so ignorant and rude, really. And I said, what I think, because like then, so I did a spoken review of the guitar, and I remember him just smiling and giggling to himself and I said, well, what are you laughing at? He said, oh, just didn't. I said, what? He said, well, I didn't think.
No, but you're so you can understand because you're so like, and I mean this in a good way because I'm attracted to people like that, and I might be like that myself. You're so like you, and this is who you are, and that's great. And not a lot of people are not like that, and that's a blessing and a curse.
Well, yeah, I can't be myself. If I be like I can be to a degree, and I always like.
Yeah, you just got to tone down the cursing. That's all.
I have to tone down a lot of things, and I have to tone down a lot of things when I'm doing the guitar videos, and I don't mind toning it down. But like, what was he expecting me to do? Like, you know, that's what just made me laugh. Like, he didn't expect.
Well, I'll tell you exactly.
I didn't take any offense to it because I don't take any offense from anything, but I do. But then, like Rhiannon says, like, you know, you should be yourself more, you know, like on camera, and I can't pretend. I can't just turn on a switch and like, can I have a conversation with you because I like talking to you, but like that's because you might have a similar sort of personality to me. You seem to say what you like. I sort of vibe off the person I'm speaking to. I'll always be myself to a degree, but I'll also be polite. You know, I'm not going to start swearing and just giving like, because I got a dark sense of humor as well. I'm not going to start, you know, making like inappropriate remarks. That you got to read the room. I ain't reading the room when I'm on the camera, so I always got to be polite. So, totally. And also, I can't pretend to be someone I'm not. You know, I can't pretend. None of this.
Dude, it's hard enough to be yourself. How the hell? I don't know how you can be somebody else.
Yeah, and I'm always myself, even if I'm sort of more softly spoken on camera. I'm always trying to be, you know, just polite.
But he was probably laughing the same way I was chuckling the first time I heard you sing. I was like, holy shit. Because I met you in a conversation like this. I was like, wow, that's not what I expect. I didn't really have an expectation, but it wasn't that.
Well, you must have had some expectation, and I'd like to hear what that expectation
I expected
was.
I expected to have your voice to have more of an edge.
Yeah?
Yeah. I expected your voice
more
to have more of What's that?
More aggressive, you mean? Like an aggressive.
I didn't expect it to be so melodic. I don't know why. Like, why shouldn't it be? Because you're so, you know, like you're like, and I mean this with very lovingly.
You don't have to preface everything. I mean this.
No, because
I'm going to say you don't mean it with the greatest respect. So you can say it as much as you want.
Because you're like me. You're like a little rough around the edges.
Yeah.
So I didn't expect your voice to be like, you know, you have a really nice melodic voice, man. And so it was like, so it's just, it's context, man. You meet someone in this and you see in this other vein. It's like, wow. I expected your guitar playing to be really good.
Yeah.
Because your
my enthusiasm.
Your enthusiasm for the instrument. Yeah. And your work ethic.
Yeah.
So I expected you to be a very good guitar player, but I was like, I mean, your voice is like, I don't want to sound weird, like almost angelic in certain, it's really, you have a great voice, man. And so I was like, holy shit. Cause like I could imagine like, having a drink with you in the bar and you just like cursing at me incessantly. And then all of a sudden I hear these like, it's like
all of a sudden I got you in my arms, stroking your head.
Yeah, right. It was like, hold that, right?
There's still time.
He's giving me a cuddle. That's what it was, man. It was like a cuddle with your voice. I was like, holy shit. That was really weird, man. Is it so? You know what I'm saying? My expectations were just.
That's like quote we could use for the album there, really.
What? It was like a cuddle.
We could use that.
Yeah. So I could see him like, cause you're so direct. Again, I find it great. I'm like that. And I've had to tone down a lot of shit myself because of that.
I direct and I can get away with it. The reason I direct and I get away with it is because I don't judge anybody. I don't think that I'm better than anybody. I don't harbor any sort of,
No, but you should be direct.
Yeah, I am, but it's only, and I'm honest and direct because my honesty is not tinged with any judgment, really. It's like, I think that most people are the same, I think that I can afford, if I'm like saying something negative about you, for instance, it's like I'm saying something negative about myself or just people in general. Like, it's just, I don't think that I'm better than anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but some people are just not as brash as you are or as I am, you know, and I've learned to tone it down quite a bit. I've had to.
I haven't toned it down.
But I'll be honest with you, much of me toning things down has far more to do with how I feel about myself, if I'm really honest, than anything else.
Right.
Yeah, if I'm really honest.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, I feel much better about myself, who I am today. And so I don't have a lot of that. I realized that the rough edge I had was not directed at anybody. It was my rough edge and directed at me.
What have you toned down then? What do you think you've toned down?
Oh, man, I'm just so much easier to deal with. I genuinely like people because I genuinely like myself.
Yeah. So what previously, what are those things that you had to calm down? What are those things that?
Mostly shit from childhood. Mostly bad childhood.
How did that manifest itself then? When you say that you were brash and you've toned it down a bit, what did you used to be like?
I was like angry.
Yeah.
Very angry. Not judgmental. Angry. Just disgruntled and you know, and more so. But that had nothing to do with the thing I was disgruntled at. It was me. It was disgruntled with me. And then, you know, once and it's still a work in progress, but once I was able to address that and work on some of that, it just sort of naturally vanished.
It's weird, like most people who are angry at an event, it's always like 90% of the time, there's always some personal grievance or something in their head. That's the issue. It's always the case, even in lots of like prejudice and bigotry and things like that. It's just ignorance a lot of the time. And yeah, I think that I used to be a little bit more judgmental, definitely, and I'd always judge people by my own ridiculously high standards as well. You know, if you didn't fit. And it's annoying, like, and that's probably exactly, you're probably nodding because it's exactly what you were like. If someone didn't fit in with what you thought was the right way to conduct yourself, the right way to think, that person was automatically an arsehole.
Right.
I don't want to bother them. Rather than saying, no, it's like, no, that's you. This is me.
Right.
I'm not necessarily right. You are you. Be yourself.
100%.
I accept people through there. You know, don't get me wrong. When I say I don't judge anyone, yeah, there are some arseholes. You know, there are some people who are genuinely beyond any help and who are genuinely horrible people, but not many, really. There's
very few.
Horrid people. They're all most people are just like yourself. And we're all inherently selfish. It's just like a lot of times when I don't like selfish people, but I can relate to them more now because I go, well, I'm a selfish piece of shit myself, but I'm suppressing it. I suppress it a little bit better than you, perhaps. But that doesn't mean I'm a better person than you. It just means I've worked on that aspect of myself a little bit more. I feel a little bit less selfish. But I am as selfish as you deep down. So therefore, I'm not any better than you. You know, I just see people are just the same, more or less. That's why I can afford to be honest with people, because I know what I'm like. I think we're all similar.
Yeah.
But the anger thing is, you know, I had that, definitely. That's the only thing. That's the one thing that I've improved. That's the only one. I would say that's my proudest achievement, really. Is
oh, that's a huge. And man, you just feel so much less stress in your life. Yeah. I mean, like infinitely less stress. So it was kind of like, for me, once I got a taste, I'm like, oh man, I got to do this more. I got to be more of a nice guy, because the nicer I am to me, the nicer I am to others, and the less stress for whatever reason I feel. So now it's like the opposite. So I just try to put out good stuff only in a sincere way, not like Pollyanna way.
No. Well,
because it just feels better.
The one thing that terrible temper problems I used to have. It was always with inanimate objects. It was never with people, fortunately. And I like the one, like, there were two epiphanies I sort of had. Like the one was like one where I threatened the cupboard, right? That's the one.
Threatened the cupboard.
Yeah,
Right.
I remember walking past, you know, it was in like my parents' house, just walking past, I don't know, in my 20s or something, and just bumping my shoulder into the cupboard. And I just turning around at this company, you fucking cheat. And then it's just like afterwards, I think, you just threatened the fucking cupboard. You just threatened the cupboard.
Yeah.
You fucking moron. And that was one turning point. And then the other one was when I just fucking went ballistic in the house when I couldn't find my like Tesco's club card points about like 10 years ago. I just went ballistic and smashed no end of stuff up in the house. Just utter arsehole. And then I was just like Rhiannon come in then, because you weren't there fortunately at the time, just seeing what I did. And I said, I'm going out. And I remember just walking about like 3 miles with my teeth clenched till I calmed down.
Oh my God.
And then came back and just, I think that was a moment I just thought, you're an arsehole. You're a fucking complete and utter arsehole. Like, grow up. Do you know what I mean? And like, it was at that moment I think, this is, because like, it's giving into something, like losing your temper and is just giving in. That's exactly what you want. You want it. You want so desperately to just lose your rag and just think, right, I'm going to enjoy, I'm letting all this adrenaline out and I'm going to enjoy myself now. But the fucking guilt you feel afterwards, it doesn't matter whether you've just, if with a person or with an object, the guilt you feel when you eventually calm down of having made such an arsehole of yourself is not worth it, is it? It's just not worth it. And that's what did it for me. It's just I felt like such an arsehole. Think, no, it'll pass. This anger will pass. It'll subside. And again, it's like a point of like, do you really want this to be, you know, take up this amount of your time? You haven't got long left.
Right. Do you want to rent that space out in your head?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what that's sort of my biggest accomplishment, if I'm honest, is learning to control my temper. And I very, very, very rarely lose my temper. I just keep calm. It's losing things, you know, like my mother, I inherited my temper and off my mother, who just, like, she still got it. Like, I remember thinking, it's fucking crazy when I think, because I used to, like, she lost her glasses. I remember, like, just, I don't know, a couple of months ago, lost her glasses. And I remember I was up the house and she went, I can't find my glasses. Every time I put them down somewhere, I can't fucking find where I put them. It's driving me up the wall. I said, when I find those fucking glasses, I am going to smash them glasses. And I sort of like, it's like shock and admiration that when she eventually did find those glasses, she did smash them up.
You're
she
kidding
smashed
me.
those glasses up. Yeah, and that's exactly where I was like, I would be the same. Once I found it, I am going to fucking destroy it just to teach myself a lesson. Like, it's just crazy. But I've learned to control, like, but like when you talk about it now, calm, it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
It's just unnecessary.
Yeah. And like, I've learned to control that.
Good for you. You're a hell of a fan. You're a Tesco fan, huh?
No, not anymore. I don't shop there anymore. No, I don't shop after that incident. I lost my club card. I had to go elsewhere then. I lost all my points.
Oh my God. Let's in the weirdest shift on this show ever.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting.
Let's
see what this segue is going to be. Go for it.
Gear. Let's talk about gear. How do I segue out of this? It's like, I might as well just blatantly admit that we can't. Guitars, man. I know you're a guitar nerd, and I know you love your guitars. What's your go-to right now, and what other 2 or 3 would be right behind that? And yes, you can pull them out.
Thanks very much.
There you go.
What's my go-to at the moment? See, this is probably weird. This
is going to be the first time a guest smashes a guitar on the show.
Yeah, if I can't find it, I'll just smash it a bit. Because I try to make my life as difficult.
Where's that fucking jazz master?
Yeah, well, this is sort of then my go-to guitar at the moment. Yeah, that's my reward guitar.
Yeah, you're a jazz master.
That's my reward guitar. So like, what I do when I practice, and I've always been similar, is that I'll try and used to practice on the worst sound I could find, just an horrible sound and stuff that would just make things harder for myself. So like,
yeah. So you'd be a better player for the easier guitar.
Yeah, I always
I get that.
did that. So now I'm in single coil phase at the moment because I found that you got to work a bit harder with single coils. So I went through a single coil phase a while back, but then when recording the album, everything was humbuckers. That was the sound that I wanted. But then after that, after again swearing, oh, I'd never use single coils again. The amount of times I've made all these pathetic. One thing I have learned, another thing I learned about myself is that I am full of shit as well. So like now I'm back on single coils now. So anyway, my Telecaster is the go-to practice guitar at the moment because that's got. Do you want me to get it?
Yeah, if it's close by.
There's nothing special anyway. It's only like an American Telecaster. It's just an American Telecaster. So
yeah, I see you play that one in a couple of videos, on several videos, I think.
I think it's in one of them. But it's in the Hard to Face video. I got a Rosewood version with an humbucker in. That's my drop C guitar.
So this is a standard Fender Tele lipstick tube?
Yeah, it's American Tele. I don't know, I bought it about 7 years ago, something like that. But there's DiMarzio Area 61. I know you don't. I know one case. I don't give a shit. DiMarzio Area 61 single coil in there, and this pickup. If anyone's got a Telecaster, this is DiMarzio Twang King. It's an unbelievable pickup. This is
really.
So yeah, this is the one I play at the moment because
those are passive. They're not active, are they?
Yeah, they're passive.
Right.
I don't know, nothing I go is active. But this one's sort of the most unenjoyable to play in a weird way, which is why I play it. It's the most challenging to play. I don't like glossy maple necks. I don't really like them.
Yeah, I don't like maple at all. All right, so your Tele is number 1. What's number 2 and number 3? The Jazzmaster. Okay, so that's a brand new Jazzmaster.
Yeah, this is the one that I thought would make my life complete.
Did it?
No.
Why not?
Because that's what all purchases are in the end. They're just a fallacy, aren't they, really, at the end of the day?
Okay, so hold that back a minute so I can see it. What is that, P90s? Is that what that is?
Well, I always used to think they were P90s as well because I didn't know too much about Jazzmasters until like Chris, who was the editor of that guitar magazine. He's the one who sort of fills all my gas. He sort of dropped these little hits. Like I said, I maybe mentioned to him about Jazzmaster. I don't know, like about 2 months ago. I said, I might have a look at a secondhand Jazzmaster, and he said, I tried. I remember trying a Jazzmaster Ultra. It's on that. It's Hush Hush. He said, but they're releasing like this Jazzmaster Ultra and Ultra series in like December time. So I'd hold out for them. So like you just planted the seed then. So eventually I got this then. So like, yeah, these are single coils.
A single coil. Why are they
coils?
They what?
Noiseless single coils.
Okay. Regular Fender single coils?
Yeah. Well,
why do they put them in that? It looks like a P90 case.
I don't know. I don't know too much about the Jazzmaster, but I'm learning, as I go along.
So hold on one thing. What about those? There's the reason I'm not smart enough to operate all those switches. Good Lord, man. There's like,
I know.
I picked that up. It's like going behind a plane cockpit.
It's bizarre. There's a lot of stuff that like this is. I've even got the. I was studying this just the other day, just last night, in fact.
Oh, the instructions. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like,
there's a lot of shit going on there, man.
There's a lot of stuff going on. There's you can have the pickups both on, in and out of phase. Then you got the volume controls for each of those pickups. You can do blending, etc. That's when you switch this S. It's just there's tons of options on a Jazzmaster, and there's tons of options, especially on this new Ultra Jazzmaster. So I'm learning.
Beautiful looking guitar.
It really is. I love the even though it's sort of.
I got to get a case like that too.
Oh yeah,
it's much easier than hanging these things on the wall. Trust me.
Yeah, this thing is. I'll give you the link because there's not many. This is proper nerdy. This is, but there's not many that's got the cushion at the bottom. That's got this cylindrical cushion.
Who makes that?
I think it's called Rock Stand. It's because they don't make this one anymore. But it took me ages to find something that was identical to it. where there's no exposed metal. So you can rest the guitars on a spot. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Save the link to it. It's about 60 quid. But it's worth it because it is. That's why I don't hang them up on the walls, because it's a pain in the ass. Just get them off. And you can't actually store that many guitars on a wall either.
No.
But that's my reward.
It's good here for the studio, though. Now that I have the show, it's nice to see. Oh, look at all those guitars in the back.
It is. And that's where my stand lets me down by you, because all you can see stocks. Yeah.
But it's not as practical, man. It's much nicer to have them all.
Like the one guitar, there's one guitar that I can't live without. Not because I love it, but I do like it.
It's a Charvel.
This is the Charvel. I had this custom made.
Is that a 7-string?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why it was custom made. I think they've started doing a production model. There's a guitarist called Angel Vivaldi.
Is that the guy from what band? What band was he in? I
don't know if he's in a band. He's an instrumental guitarist. He might have been in a band at one stage, actually.
Yeah.
But you got a production model 7-string now. But I had mine was first. Mine isn't production model. I had it custom made.
That's a beautiful guitar.
Yeah, I can't. This is the one I can. This is one I always use live, because a lot of, especially on the last 3 albums, there's a lot of stuff with 7-string guitar on there. So this is something I can't do without.
So tell me about a 7-string. What is the 7th string? Is that like just
low B?
Okay, so it's E A D G.
Yeah,
it's E B G D.
Yeah, same normal. So normal.
Okay, so just a low B.
Just a low B, yeah, on the bottom.
Interesting.
But that's the one I have to.
I have enough trouble with 6 strings. To go to 7, I might as well go to like 14. It's just like
I actually have a reason for. Unless there's a reason for the 7-string, there's no point in owning one.
Beautiful guitar.
I only experimented with that like years ago, because like a lot of times, as I was telling you before, when I was buying guitars, they always bring in a new. It's for a new sonic palette a lot of the time. So I'd buy I bought this secondhand, this
PRS. Pretty guitar.
So I was interested in what P90 sounded like, and I ended up writing we did. I've used this more than anything on
really.
This is all over the album, because it's like
on the new record.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Anything that's slightly dirty or clean is this, because it's got that it's that in between. The P90 is like in between humbucker and single coil. It's just like not too thick and syrupy, but it's also not too thin either. I found this a really, really enjoyable. It's a wonderful addition sonically to things that I've been writing. So that's proved.
It's a real pretty good. You know what? So many guys I've talked to wind up getting. They get a new guitar and then they make some new music with it. Many guys, many people
justify it really, and that's why I like the bike, because I haven't really got anything I haven't got anything. I haven't got many duplicates. I might have a couple of different Strats, but they all I've got this maple neck. I've got an Eric Johnson Strat. Yeah, that's single coils.
Right.
Maple neck. But I also got that's a completely different sound to this Sir that I got with single coils. Rosewood neck. So they all offer something sonically different a little bit. So I use them primarily for writing, and that's when they sort of come into their own. They're tools when it comes to like rehearsing, practicing and things like that. I just stick into one guitar because it's like that's studying. But when it comes to writing an album, is when the value of buying all these instruments. I don't feel if I wasn't making music or writing or working or doing stuff for guitar magazines, I'd feel like an arsehole. I don't consider myself a collector. I'm more of I feel like I'm a fan of guitar.
Yeah.
But if I ain't using them, they got to go.
Well, I feel the same way, and I love all these, but I'm not using the SG a lot, and I'm thinking lately of selling it, but I love it. It's just plays.
Just because you're not using it now. That's the thing I was talking about single coils earlier on. If you need money, sell. Obviously, that's
right.
What I'm saying. But if you don't need the money, there's no worth selling. Because I can guarantee you something. Now, what I'll guarantee you now, and you can make a note of this, is that at some point you will fall back in love with our SG and the sound of that SG.
Oh, I love it now. I just don't. I've been playing my 335 really consistently. That's my kind of like my favorite guitar. I really love it.
Lots of people just like having one guitar, and Chris is like that, my friend, the editor guitar magazine.
Yeah.
He likes having a limited number of guitars. I'm like, I never see the point of it, just because like I know that your tastes are going to change. My tastes always change. Like I was just telling when I'm using that Fender Telecaster. Only like I remember just speaking to the editor of the other guitar magazine, Jamie, about a year ago, saying, he was asking if he could buy that Eric Johnson off me, and I said, hey, do you know what? I said, someone's borrowed it at the moment. I've lent it, but when I get back, I'm going to sell it to you because I hate single coils at the moment. I never play single coils again, and here we are. That's all I play now is the single coil because I'm just full of shit. So I just make sure I don't say anything anymore about it. I don't make any blanket statements because that's something I've always done is make a blanket statement of something and then ended up looking like an asshole. Yeah,
I feel bad. I'm not a professional musician, so I always feel bad having all these guitars because like I'm not using them.
You're enjoying them.
I enjoy every one of them.
I always got to try and I always got to try and justify. That's my own weird thing, to be honest. Like, I always got to try and justify something.
Yeah,
me being an ass.
Let me. Best guitar and best amp you ever owned or played?
The best amp isn't an amp. It's the Axe effects. The
Ox effects?
Yeah, the Axe effect, the fractal audio Axe effects.
Oh, the fract. Okay.
I bought not that one. That was the Axe effects 3, but I bought an Axe effects 2 about Christ. I don't know, maybe about 8 years ago, something. And that was the best music purchase I've ever made, ever. I was always like, again, when we're talking about making blanket statements, I always remember just reading in guitar magazines, I'd see like Fractal Audio always had like 2-page spreads, and there's these metal guitarists saying, this is the greatest tone I've ever had. It's like tons of famous metal guitarists. Right. And I'd say, in my head, I think, what the fuck do you know about tone? Metal guitar. This is coming from a metal player now as well. Like, right. And at the time, I wasn't playing a lot of metal. It was just like rock and I was like fusion stuff. And there's me thinking, what do you know about tone? And like eventually those ads started to work because like players I did respect started creeping and saying, I really like this. So I remember, I think I tell you turned me to, it was Guthrie Govan. We did a talk with the Aristocrats, and I remember taking him to a clinic because I was one of the tours we arranged. I was taking him to the clinic, and I was asking him what he thought of this, and I was generally expecting him to say, digital rubbish, And he said, "I've actually got one." He said, and let me just turn this WhatsApp thing off. He said, "I've actually got one." I said, "All right." He said, and he said, "It's really." He said, "As much as I don't want to admit it,
as much as I resent it, as much as I don't want to tell, really, as much as I wanted to dislike it."
He said, "It's unerringly accurate." With
wow.
So that was again. I can be easily influenced by people, musicians I respect.
Wow, but he's a pretty and he's been around the block, man.
That was always the reason. That was always where I based a lot of my purchases on, like amps and stuff. I remember buying Mesa Boogie amps and things like that purely because, like, players I respected played them. It was irrespective for me of whether they sounded any good or not. It's like I know that they've got a good sound. So if you don't get a good sound, it's because you were shit.
It's marketing, man. Testimonials.
Yeah, and it's superb. It works every time. It works on me, because
it works on a lot of people.
But so I got that, and do you know what? I remember it was on the first patch. It was like, I don't know, a brown face, just some Fender, and I was stuck on it for ages. Just the first patch.
Yeah.
This has opened up it actually weirdly it opened up my mind to different amps. Like, because at that time I used a Mesa Boogie, 3 channels clean. Now I was opened up to the possibility of using, like, I discovered. I previously just slagged off Marshall and thing. I never understood people who played Marshall amps. And like, there's me playing through like different Marshall amps thinking, these are fucking incredible. But it actually sort of educated me about amps.
That's great.
Me appreciation of lots of different amps, because I still love amps. It's still as great as that is, and it's incredible.
Yeah, but you can't you can't keep switching amps like.
No, and that's another thing that I've learned.
Not possible.
Yeah, and you eventually like plexis I'm stuck on at the moment as well. Like,
they're great sounding.
That's what I mean. I would never have been using some of the greatest sounds that's ever been recorded. I did not been for Relax Effects. I would never have been using Voxes, Plexis. I would never have been making this music if I'd not discovered this Relax Effects. So even though like it's sort of trying to kill amps in a sense, I think that it pays a lot of respect to them because, you know, I don't think amps will always be around. I don't think
you may get hired to be a spokesperson for Fractal or Tesco as a result of this interview.
Say that again? Because you broke up a lot.
You may get hired to be a spokesperson for Fractal or Tesco as a result of this interview.
Are you still there, Craig?
Yeah. Did you hear? Yeah.
Sorry, I know what happens. Something went weird with my internet connection.
I said,
you mean I might get hired by Fractal Audit?
Or Tesco. Or Tesco.
Yeah, lose your temper if you lose
your points card.
But
don't lose your points card.
I can't afford to be. Like I can't afford to like part of the reason I don't look for endorsements because I don't want any endorsements because I have to be impartial about these things. When I'm writing for the magazines, I can't afford to have an endorsement.
Right. Yeah, because
I have to be impartial. And I wouldn't, if I didn't like something, I would say, I have to be honest, because I feel there's nothing worse, because like I based all my purchases just by reading guitar magazines.
Sure.
There'd be nothing worse to me than lying to somebody like myself saying, this is great.
But it's kind of, if getting a free guitar can buy that, that's like kind of, you're a cheap you know what I'm saying, you're a cheap
People
date.
have been bought for less than that.
Yeah, I guess, man. I don't know, but that seems like a cheap.
Like I just prefer, because I feel I couldn't be endorsed by. I've had offers of lots of stuff, but I don't accept them. Because I have to be impartial.
Well, you want to have the perception, you want perception to match reality. As far as there's no inherent bias in here, because Well,
that is an incredible, and I want people to. I would like for their benefit, and that's why extol the virtues of it, is because it's incredible, and it's like you get to experience. Well, the one selling point of these fractal orders and Kemba as well is that this opens up your world. You ain't gonna get a Vox, a Marshall, a Mesa Boogie, a Diesel. You ain't gonna have them in your house. You're never gonna be able to afford them. But this, you'll know what they sound like. There's nothing that'll ever replicate standing in front of an amp. It will, like, these are the best things in the world to record with. There's nothing quite like standing in front of an amp and just hearing it come out of a speaker. That's a proper experience. But this is pretty fucking good.
Okay, so that's the best amp. What about best guitar you ever played? Whether you own it or not.
I think the best guitar I'll answer this in a different way. Is that I've got one guitar that I think all my guitars are replaceable in some way. I don't think any of them are special in the sense that I think I only got one irreplaceable guitar, and I got a Fender Deluxe Strat that sounds unique and it sounds incredible, and I've lent it to lots of different players who've recorded albums and stuff with it because it's still incredible. But it's like that way because of a weird set of circumstances. Because when I had it, it's loaded with 2 humbuckers for starting split coils as well.
Okay.
But I always had trouble with it fretting out, and I took it to a guitar tech, and he polished and rubbed the frets down to within an inch of their lives and give it back to me, and he was still fretting out, and I give it back to him and he rubbed it down even again anymore. So like there's hardly any fret left on this guitar until he realized that there was a net tilt function on this guitar, right? So the reason he was fretting it out is because all he had to do was make a slight adjustment because he was an old school guitar tech. So he basically fucking ruined the guitar theoretically.
Yeah.
But he discovered that eventually when it's too late after he rubbed the frets down. But now
So you put new frets on?
Sorry, no. These frets are still on. They're just not. They're not very tall. They're very, in fact, they're sort of Gibson-esque, very, very shallow, very wide and flat. But somehow this has contributed to this guitar sounding absolutely incredible. This is It's just the wood is really light. The rosewood is. It's a lot of things. It's a sum of its parts, really, in that sound. And it's also because this guy had basically ruined it in a sense.
Funny how that works, isn't it?
It is weird, and that's why it's irreplaceable. That's the one guitar that I couldn't replace. I could replace everything else here. There's nothing, and that's not downplaying all of these guitars. The standard quality of guitar making today is absolutely incredible. You can get an amazing guitar that you could, for like 250 quid, you could take out and tour around the world.
Yeah,
and it'll do the job. So like the quality of guitar building today is incredible. So that's why I say they're all replaceable. But that one then isn't, because...
Funny, I don't have any $250 guitars. I wish I did.
There's still time. Well, I don't think I have either as well. But I know.
But they're out there. It's like a unicorn.
The reason I know about them is because I review a lot of them. I reviewed, I remember reviewing like an Ibanez Gem Junior, which was like 200. I think it was like 200. It might have been just about 250 quid, I think it was, in fact. Wow. And I was like, imagine, like, if I had this 20 years ago, this would be a guitar I'd think, holy shit, this is incredible. Like, but 250 quid, you can get an incredible guitar for that money these days.
Tell me your top 3 desert island discs.
Bastard. You said... What?
Disc. So, okay. So let me explain. I know you guys have a show called Desert Island Disc. They talk about singles. What I'm talking about is albums.
All right.
Top 3 albums.
If I had TikTok, it'd probably be a Rufus Wainwright album, believe it or not, Release the Stars. I'd probably take that one. Probably a Frank Zappa album as well. Broadway the Hard Way, I would take Frank Zappa.
Which one?
Broadway the Hard Way. And then I'd probably take System of a Down, Mesmerize.
Oh, wow. It's pretty diverse.
Yeah, but they're lots of things I've listened to lots and lots of times. I know they still give me pleasure listening to. At the moment, I'm listening to that I probably may take in the future is... I've been listening to Rage Against the Machine, Renegades. I never knew they were...
Great record.
I never knew they had that album in 2000. I just completely lost touch with Rage Against the Machine after the riots. Is it Riots at LA or something like that? The album? Can't remember.
That was a live album?
I missed that. I don't listen to live albums anyway.
Yeah, it was great.
But this album, Jesus Christ.
Renegades of Funk, that's such a good song. Yeah,
it's a fucking amazing album, absolutely amazing. I'm listening to it daily at the moment, and like that's the thing about me. That's like when I find an album, I just wade out the
I think most of us do.
I often find them though.
Down here, not Rage Against the Machine. It was Prophets of Rage, so it was everybody except Zach, and I went with both my sons because they both like Rage. It's probably 7 years ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't the same. You realize how crucial Zach is to that band.
Oh, it
was kind of disappointing. I mean, those guys were great. It was what's his name? It was Chuck D, who has the greatest voice ever, and it was the other guy from Insane in the Membrane. I can't think of the song, but
the one from
Cypress Hill. Yeah, right. Be Real, but it was really funny, man. He was being real already. He was walking around with a joint. A couple of times, just like passing out weed. It was quite funny. It was really funny. Yeah, but it was a good show, but it was like...
No, they miss him. He's absolutely... He's such a... Even like on that Renegades, where I don't think it's as politicized as previous albums. It is in places, but it's like you said, there's a fun...
Oh, it's good. It's a good, right? Yeah, it's not as...
His voice is still got like... It's like a visceral anger to it. But it can be...
But they all gel. They all gel. Yeah.
He's one thing I just realized about like Tom Morello is just like, because he irritates me with his like lead guitar parts sometimes. It's just like, because I think he irritated me on like Audio Slave stuff, which I think is okay, but it's like you don't need
lots of effects. Yeah,
you don't need it there. It's like no, you put it just feels like he was like becoming a parody of himself on those records when it comes to the lead stuff. It's like you don't need it there. Stop playing fucking solos, blah blah. Like, not to say that he's not a good soloist. It's just like, he was like there because it should be there. And I don't like those kind of things. But he's a fucking amazing player.
Oh, great player.
He's one of the greatest riff writers that have ever fucking lived. And that's something I've taken from that Renegades album. It's like a newfound appreciation just how amazing a guitarist he is. Like, all right, I might, the Audio Slave, I might slag off but that's not to say like the shit that he's done like lead wise on the Rage Against the Machine album is seminal. Like, it's incredible. Yeah. What an amazing guitarist. And I think that's the most mature album as well, Renegades as well. That's still when it all came together, even though like I love, what's the album with Bulls on Parade? What's that second album?
I'll look at it right. I know what you're talking about. The one with the monk.
Eve Empire is this?
The one with the monk on the page, right?
Yeah.
On the front.
Oh no, that's the first one. That is the one on Fire.
Yeah.
That's the first one. I think the second one I preferred. The Evil. Although they're all great. They're all great albums.
Let's see. It starts with Rage Against the Machine. First record. I have a bootleg. It's just Rage Against the Machine was the first record in '92, and then it was Evil Empire in '96.
Yeah, Evil Empire.
Bulls on Parade. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I've got a newfound respect for him.
All right, man. This is gonna fuck you up as far as questions go. I'm almost afraid to ask this to you. What do you like most about yourself?
I think it's my good looks. I think.
If I was you, that's what I would have said.
That's what I'd have to go with, really. What do I like about myself? I do like some things about myself, believe it or not. I hate more things, I'll be honest with you.
I'm waiting with bated breath.
I'll tell you what, I'm loyal. I'm a really loyal person. I'm not blindly loyal either. It's like, and I'm really helpful. This is sound like a CV. I am a it really is. It's like, this is why I should be your friend, Craig. Craig, this is why I must be your friend. I am loyal, and I will never let you down.
And I'm very helpful.
This is a good. I'm worried because this is a good. I want to make sure my application.
You want to be at the top of the pile here, man.
I'm loyal. I think that's.
No, I'm loyal. Sometimes to a fault.
No, I'm not. I'm not to a fault.
I'm just saying. That's what you say when you want the job.
Oh yeah, I'm not loyal to a fault.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know? Someone said I'm not talent. It's not my joke. It's not. I think there's a Bill Burr joke the other day, and you'll have to cut this out because I'll probably fuck up the joke. But he said because I love Bill Burr. He's probably my favorite comedian.
I don't even know who that is. That an English guy or American?
No, he's fucking American. Bill Burr.
I don't watch TV.
He said one of his he was being interviewed and someone was asking him did you ever have a normal job? And he said I couldn't have had a normal job. And he said one of my friends told him a joke and he said this is sort of like me. This is what I'd be like in a job. And he said the job interviewer his friend goes into job interview and the job interviewer says what's the worst thing? What's the worst thing about yourself? You would say. He would say, and he said, "Oh, I think that I'm too honest." And the interviewer said, "Well, that's not necessarily a bad quality of thing." And the guy said, "I don't give a fuck what you think."
That's great, man. That's perfect.
But I am not loyal to a fuck. Yeah, but that's not my. You can edit that joke out because I can't tell jokes. But
no, that was good. That was very good. Yeah, that's it. You're a good joke teller. That's another thing.
That's another thing. That's another thing from my application. I think that I'm loyal, and I will. And I look. If you're my friend, I practically do. It sounds like a job application.
Oh my God! Yeah.
I'm a good friend because I will. I'm just really, and I'll always come through. I'm a good guy. I'm reliable. I'm fucking reliable, Craig. I'm telling you. No, you ask anyone. I'm reliable. And I'd be a good friend. I'd be the best friend you ever had. That's what I like about myself. I'm loyal and I'm not judgmental. Is what I said earlier. I'm not judgmental, and I don't think I don't think I'm better than anyone. It's just that I think I'm worse than everyone.
Oh my God! And my self-esteem is off the charts.
Yeah.
Wow. Something or somebody that you miss from your childhood.
don't think I miss anything really. I don't miss my
That's
childhood.
fair enough.
Do I miss anybody? No, I don't think I do miss anybody really.
You know, it's interesting when I ask this question once in a while. I don't ask it often, but most of the time the answer is a close friend.
I haven't got any friends. This is why the application was there.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I was the only one. There is someone I do miss from time to time because he was I got like a lot of my. It seems a lot of my friends have died, and that's the truth. This is as well. And no, it wasn't suicide. Before you say anything,
I didn't say a word. I would never joke about suicide.
No, but nonetheless, a lot of my like close friends have like died. Like I've had at least 3 good friends that have died.
Wow, that's heavy.
Weird.
Yeah.
So, like the one person, like there are 2 people I saw, but one person I especially miss from now. I do think of him now because he was the funniest person I've ever met in my life. He's like a school friend, and he was a drummer. He was also the drummer in the band originally.
In Godsticks.
Yeah.
Oh,
he was,
wow.
played on the first EP. And he's someone I grew, and like I had sort of like a telepathic connection. Weird, like with we used to jam in our just bedroom. Like we was the one person I would either play in front of. We'd always jam just nonsensical things, and we'd always be on the same. It's a weird telepathic thing, anyway. But like he was the funniest person.
I'd be concerned if anything you told me about yourself wasn't attached to the word weird.
Well, yeah,
I'd be very worried. No, you're not. But just anything that I would be weird if you didn't say that word weird.
He was. He died when he was about like 30. He died about 10 years ago when he was about 33 or something from an heart attack. Believe it or not.
Oh my God! Wow, sorry, man.
It's like he just no, it's his own. It's his own fault. Like he was like addicted to painkillers. Basically, that's what he used to.
Oh my God!
He always had an addictive personality anyway. So he was always gonna be some drug in his life. But he was also like, so like I actually helped him for a time, like me and like 2
But you can't help somebody.
No, we did. We got him off it. We got him off. Like, believe it or not, it was weird that he was addicted, like to not even prescription painkillers. It was just behind the counter painkillers. But it was.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
But he was addicted to them, and like we got him off it, and like he was. But the reason we got him off it for a year is because like. He was actually addicted to the high of not being on drugs. As bizarre as that sounds, like it's just because he hadn't been clean for so long. He was actually high from being clean, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But eventually, like I had to lose touch with him because there was no help. There was no help, and then
you can't make anybody do anything.
No, I don't feel guilty. You said you're right, and they have to have a desire to give up themselves. You cannot force anybody into those.
You can't make anybody do anything.
Show a willingness to, and he did at the time. So like he was successful for a while. But yeah, he was I miss him. He died when he was about 10 years ago, and I hadn't talked to him for about 2 years prior to that because I had to cut ties with him for lots of reasons. Well, that was the main one.
Yeah, of course.
He was
That's sad, man.
He was just the funniest person, and I don't say anything with rose tinted glasses on either. I don't like really glamorize or romanticize the past if it isn't true. I'm pretty realistic, so like, but I know that he was like, that's someone that I miss. He was the funniest. He just has me properly had tears of laughter. And just agony. The stuff that he used to do, just weird stuff like probably couldn't even explain. One thing he did, like I remember, just this probably won't come across anyway, but like I remember when we was in this band when we first started Godsticks. It was me, him, and a guy called Jason, who I'm still friends with. He's no longer in the band, and like he wanted me to take like his bass down to my guitar techno setup. And so he left, and I used to give Aaron, this was my friend, a lift home then. And he said, "Oh, you should put something in that guitar case when you take it down." I said, "Oh, what?" Like, he said, "Oh, don't worry, I'll sort that tomorrow." So like I met him the next day, right before I went down to the guitar tech. He said, "Put this in it." And like he drew a picture and wrote a note. And he just wrote, dear, like the guitar tech, I want my guitar to feel like this, right? And he just had a picture of an hand on a cock, right? And he was a fucking brilliant drawing of a penis as well. Like, he was a talented artist. Like, and he said,
so
put that in there. Like, and I just, like, and I swear to you, I drove down to that guitar tech, right? And I was just just pissing myself laughing in the car on my own mind, just like in tears. That was just the example of just one of the many things that he did. Like, it just tons of stuff that he would have me in tears of laughter. That's a person I genuinely miss, like, just because, you know, he was the only one that cracked me up. And
that's funny, man. Oh my God.
The other that I had died when I was about, I think I was, that was the only thing, because if there's a question about what was the other, it wasn't a life-changing moment, but it was like, it probably related to the darkest. I think I had a dark period for like about, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, no, I have a question is what were some of the low points?
Well, this would relate to that one, is like, that was, because I thought about that, you know, I thought about that question, and I haven't really got any low points, and this isn't one, this is only the one that I could say that is probably the darkest. I wouldn't say it's a low point, but like a dark memory is like one is, but it's not one that that haunts me or anything at all, because I come to terms with it. But it was like, I had a friend who's probably responsible again for me changing as a person, like, as from, like, because he was a guy. His again is weird. And I'll tell you the reason he was weird, because like I knew him from another friend. His name was we called him Griff, and he was he was in college, and he was the only guy. He dressed in like 60s clothes, drove a Beetle, and like he honestly, if you'd seen him like half a mile away, you'd stand out. And he just didn't give a fuck. He just didn't. He loved like the 60s culture. He loved the Beatles, obsessed with the Beatles, and just loved the culture. And he didn't care. And and he just goes. It taught me a lesson. It taught me a couple of lessons. Like, one of them was like, he was a ripe candidate to have the piss taken out of him. That is the person you would take the piss out of, because he is almost, because he stands out so much, he's almost demanding to be taken the piss, because he's so different. But like, it got to the point where like I don't know if people were taking the piss out of him, because like the reason I didn't is because like he didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, nothing you could do, and like, so it became acceptable. Like, and there was actually started off a trend, like, people.
Everybody else started dressing like him,
because and he didn't do it to be trendy. He did it because like, this is what I like. I enjoy this. I want to dress like this. And I love this kind of stuff. And he was obsessed, like I said, obsessed with the Beatles and things like that, and that culture of the 60s. So like, he was the one who just made, like, when I started bothering with him, he was like, for about, I think about 3 or 4 years, and he was my best friend, like, at the time. And I don't use that word. When you get older, you don't have best friends and things like that. But this was a guy I spent most of my time with, because lots of them went off to university, and he came back or something. I can't remember anymore. But this was the guy who I spent all my time with, and like, he was the one that. I think what changed me as a person is that, only just one thing, he just made me question everything, right? And that sounds like profound, and it's not really profound. It's like, we all get passed down shit from like when we grow up, things that we just, I don't know, believe just because it's been told to us. And it could be anything. Like, it could be even like apocryphal tales, like, I don't know, like Prince having a rib taken out just so we could, you know, give himself fellatio and things like that. Some of these weird things that trickle down, it's just like, and you don't even think about them. It's just like, I'm like, just using that as an example, it's just think, oh, where the fuck would someone go and have surgery to have a rib removed so we could, you know, give himself fellatio? Like, it's fucking insane to think about it. But like, this is an example of just, he always used to, as a result of the things that he did, he used to make me question stuff. He used to question everything, like, and there was another incident, like, he just had me questioning things all the time. So now, like, throughout life, everything, any social obligation I got, I question, why have I got to do this? You know, sometimes it might become to an answer that's acceptable or socially acceptable, but everything I just think, oh, do I have to do this? Is this right? Do everything. But he was the guy, but I remember, like, he was his death had an effect on me, because I was with him at the time, and I watched him, like,
holy shit.
So
how did he die, man? Sorry about that.
That's okay. And it's like, it's not, like I said, it's not traumatic. I'm only telling you because you asked the fucking question.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like we was walking home drunk, like playing fucking kicking a can across the road, like in a dual carriageway, like, you know, it was just pissed drunken idiots, like, and like I remember that he just got, I just in the car and just took him clean out, like, and that's what happened. And
oh
like,
my god, that's like, pretty traumatic to see that.
It was, and it was like for a good couple of weeks. It was like that's the only image that I could.
Of course,
it was the only reason I mentioned that's a dark period because I couldn't get that image out of my mind at the time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But that
makes total sense.
It went in the end. But like he's another guy that he probably, and again, it's not with rose tinted glasses that I say this thing. He probably had the most profound impact upon me as a person. Just because I was very belligerent and I was like stubborn and I very focused on what I thought and what I believed. And until somebody demonstrated to me, not told me, but demonstrated to me, hey, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to think what I want. I'm going to question stuff. And I don't give a fuck what you think or anybody else think. It was what he demonstrated more than the things that he told me that led me to become the person I am. Like question things and don't take anything for. Not so much don't take anything for granted. It's just question everything. And I think that's a really important lesson for anybody to learn.
It's healthy.
Yeah, it is. Because like, if I, you know, there's loads of people who just stuck in their ways and do things for tradition. Like my mother is just one of those people, you know, who do that's not none of being disrespectful, but like, that's something I could have inherited and it works for her, but it doesn't work for me. I like to know why I'm doing something.
Sure, man.
So yeah, that's the darkest period of my time. It only lasted like, you know, till I got over that thing. It's not a big deal, and there's people who have seen far worse than that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, man. I'm really sorry about that.
You don't have to be sorry about it. Like, it's like I'm genuinely not looking for sympathy, and you don't have to be sorry about it. It's like everybody's lost somebody, and
you know what, man? You should just say, thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Craig. I hope that ain't going to affect my application.
That's it. Is Wales culturally very different from England?
I thought he was going to say culturally backward then. I thought that's what he was going to say.
Could you imagine someone asked you that or on an interview? Yeah. Sir, you're from Wales. Now, is Wales culturally backwards? Holy shit, you got to have big fucking stupid balls to ask that question. Like,
I think that we talked about it before, but it's a massive, like, even though it's a tiny place, it's just massive differences all around the country. So like, Wales is culturally different from like the south of England, whereas the south of England is culturally different from middle England. You know. Yeah,
there's a lot of culture different around England, even. Yeah,
we're all different.
Yeah.
There's no certain type of Welsh person. There's no certain type of English person, even though that's where you.
No, I mean customs wise. So like, you know.
Yeah, like, Wales, like there's a big Welsh people love rugby. Yeah, that's
of soccer.
Yeah, that's a stereotype and one that's really true as well, I think.
Rugby over soccer.
Yeah, I can't stand rugby.
I played rugby for a season in college.
Fucking brutal.
I was a hooker. That was right in the middle. It was awful. It was awful because I couldn't understand the freaking game. I played a whole season. I don't think I was any further along at the end than I was in the beginning. A lot of rules. A lot of rules.
I don't understand the positions. I don't understand anything about rugby. My father loves rugby, but I've never got.
Brutal. You got to be a monster to play that, man. It's a brutal sport.
Really,
getting your ass. There's no equipment. You just get pounded, man.
It's the most. I think it's the most brutal sport. Right? I think it's more brutal than boxing. Even.
It's like, you remember that movie? I don't know if you knew Rollerball.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's. I'm older than you. It's like, you know.
I do remember it. I don't know if I've seen it.
One decade ahead of you. Yeah, it's like. Yeah,
who was in it?
James Caan. They made a remake, I know, but James Caan was the original.
Ah, right. They make a remake with Will Ferrell in it or something?
I doubt it, because it's not really a comedy. It's like a blood sport. Wouldn't it? It's a blood sport. Yeah. It's like watch it. Yeah, it's a good movie. Interesting. It's a future.
Kind of like. I will watch it.
dystopian sort of future kind of thing.
Oh, I will watch it.
Yeah, I think you'd like it. You like science fiction probably, so it's probably.
I don't usually.
Oh, you don't? Okay, maybe you don't.
My wife does.
Yeah,
but I like James Caan.
So yeah, he's from the Bronx.
Is he really?
Yes.
He's a great actor. I like watching stuff with him, man.
Do you have any non-musical superpowers?
Give me an example.
I don't know.
I haven't got any musical superpowers. Let my non-fucking music. What stuff that I'm instinctively good at then?
Yeah, that's you know.
Give me an example of one of yours first.
Yeah. I'm pretty good. Like smelling bullshit. Or like I could read sort of people's energies a little bit. Like if someone's
I was gonna say exactly the same as you, and that's the truth.
Yeah, I could just feel if someone's negative sometimes. I think
that I like see conversations I don't see them in waves, but I feel them in waves that I can sort of like I can read a room pretty good.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff. I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm an empath." I think that's I've had 10 people on the show say they were empaths. To me, I don't know really. An empath, as I understand it, is a person who could feel the energy and they maybe take it on or something. I don't possess to do any of that. I could just kind of smell intent.
I think the more you know yourself, the more you're likely to know what other people are like. I think that's how I look at it. I do think that I usually, I think I could probably tell if someone's bullshitting or not. That's what I'm usually good. I'm usually a decent judge of character. I'm very rarely wrong. I'm a good judge of character. I'm not perfect, but I'm pretty good.
Yeah, sort of more like that than like someone's bullshit. I'm a reasonably good judge of character, I guess.
What's your judgment of me?
Oh, we need another episode for that, man. I have to break that down. No, you're a fucking good guy. You're a very sincere person. 2 more questions, man. Do you have any interest? Huh?
And then you can go to bed.
No, then I need therapy. Are you kidding me? I'm going to enroll.
I'm going to as well if you want to give me a call back.
I need 6 weeks of therapy and then massive amounts of drugs. Are you kidding? This has to be. I need a professional to unwind this interview. Do you have any hobbies outside of music?
No. I just discovered that if I can't excel at something, I'm not interested. I want to be the best at something. And so
that's cool.
Hobbies. Yeah, there's sort of limits to my enjoyment of stuff, really. I used to like, I like watching football. I wish I was better at football. I like watching football. I don't know. Have I got any hobbies? Nah. No, I haven't got any hobbies. That would have been the easiest question, easy answer. When I know.
No barbecue, obviously.
No barbecue, no party, no socializing.
Actually, there's 2 more questions. Toughest decision you had to make, or most difficult thing you've had to do?
I do know what the toughest decision is. The toughest decision I had to make was probably recently. When you
said, Craig, I'll come on your show.
Yeah, that's it. I was talking to you. Probably, I had to leave. I left a band that probably would have. Toughest decision I made was leaving a band that probably would have benefited me career-wise as a musician, because for a variety of reasons. But it's a tricky subject. I can't go into too much detail because
you don't have to.
The most difficult decision is leaving a band that I knew would be beneficial for my career as a musician, but I knew that I wasn't required creatively, if you know what I mean. I wasn't necessarily needed creatively, and I couldn't. You
couldn't contribute to what to.
And I'm never interested in unless it's about being validating, like when we talk about guitars and things like that. Unless I have to be creative, and I don't mean in like a really pretentious way. Is that I have to contribute something in order to enjoy any success that I have to feel that I've contributed. Otherwise, I get no enjoyment out of it whatsoever. So even though, like, the reason it was a difficult decision is because I knew that it could be it would definitely be beneficial for me as a career move, but as creatively and creatively, it wouldn't have been. I would have felt I wouldn't have valued it, and I wouldn't have enjoyed it, and I would have felt it wouldn't have felt right. So that was a massively difficult decision.
They just needed a pretty face on stage.
Well, yeah, it made them look better. That's for sure.
Right on, man.
That was the most difficult one.
And last question, Darren, biggest change in your personality over the last 10 years, and how much of that change has been intentional, and how much is just a natural part of aging?
And how much has I been during this interview, I wonder?
Biggest change in your personality over the last...
We've been talking long enough. Something must have fucking changed.
Oh my God.
I'm more easygoing. Right? If it, like, it's just, like, I know that's going to sound insane, but I am far... Can you imagine what I was like before?
No, but I would... Your wife... Is there like an actual website where you could nominate people for sainthood?
I honestly thought you was going to be, is there an actual website where you bought your wife from? And I
oh my God, that's so insulting. I would never say that.
Well, I was expecting it. Well, yeah, I was expecting that kind of insulting accusation, if I'm honest.
Oh my God, why would you? I would never say that. I wouldn't say that to someone I dislike.
I don't mind you saying it. I enjoy being...
But that wasn't my intent. I said what I meant.
I forgot what the question was now, because I was starting to work out, did I actually buy my wife?
Oh my God. Biggest change in your personality over the last 10 years?
I think I'm more easygoing.
Oh my God. You're more easygoing.
I think I'm more I'm more accepting of people. Like I'm just more accepting of people.
That's why I said we need to nominate your wife for sainthood. I'm looking for an actual website to nominate her.
She says that I'm more easygoing. She reckons that I'm the
most patient human being in the world. Well, that's why I feel she needs to be nominated for that, because if you're more easygoing now.
She's the opposite to me. So she's like,
really easygoing.
Yeah, and like I've changed her, and like she's not as easygoing as she once was because she's been married to me. But
dude, she's she's lucky she's got her sanity. She must be a very strong woman.
She is now. That strength has been built up over a couple of years.
Oh my God!
Like she's her easygoiness has rubbed off on me, and
that's good, man.
My mania has rubbed off on her, and I think that
how long you've been together a long time? Oh, like 24 years. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's very cool. That's a long time, it really is.
It is. We run out of things to say now as well.
Oh my God. Hey, listen, first of all, thank you. You're a really sweet guy. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I appreciate how straightforward and honest you are. And I love your band. And let me tell everybody about Godsticks. The new record came out from the day you're hearing this week, actually. It's called Inescapable. I would really encourage you to check it out. It's Darren is a really great writer. Beautiful voice, and he's a hell of a guitar player in spite of what he thinks. But the band is Godsticks, Godsticks, and it's Darran Charles, Darran Charles. Do you guys have, go to their website. It's great. It's godsticks.co.uk, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Go to there and subscribe and listen to the music and purchase it and listen to it. What, are you guys are touring? Just a few dates in the spring right now, right?
Yeah, just 4 dates in the spring, but we're looking to do some European dates towards the end of the year, say like October, November.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Anything else in between that?
Yeah, a couple of festivals. We got playing a Tech Fest, which is in July. And then we got a couple of European festivals. And we got one in Italy in September called 2 Days Prog Plus One, I think it's called.
That's awesome.
And another Portuguese festival. Oh, I can't see. It's terrible. I don't remember the name of these festivals because
there's a lot of them.
We're ignorant because us Brits are ignorant when it comes to learning foreign languages. It's like we expect everyone to speak English, so if something isn't written in English, we don't even learn how to pronounce it properly.
Well, Portuguese is not an easy language. It's not like Spanish. It's a little different.
I haven't even made an effort to pronounce it, though, have I? I only made an effort.
But you'll be at the show. You'll be there on time.
I'll be there. Command. I guess I'll feel guilty if I don't. Commanders. I can't even say it. I struggle with English. I struggle with English. I'm not trying any Portuguese. I'm sorry, but I can't.
Is this on your website?
Yeah.
It is. Go to godsticks.co. It's Godsticks, godsticks.co.uk. And you guys have social media?
Yeah, we got a Facebook page, Instagram, social media, Twitter. What's the others? That's it, man.
I don't know. That's low. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That's quite a lot of social media. YouTube? Do you have a YouTube channel? You do?
Yeah, I think we do, yeah.
Yeah, you have great videos. Check out their videos. They're freaking excellent, man. Check out the video for the latest song, Denigrate. It's really good. And what was the song I liked on the last record?
Hard to Face?
Yes, Hard to Face. Really good. And come see him on if you're in England or if you're in the UK or if you're in anywhere in Europe, come see him on tour and go to their website again and you'll get all the information. Dude, any final words of wisdom? I can't, it's like 11 o'clock there, man. I can't think. You're very nice to do this.
I got nothing better to do.
Oh, thanks. I feel special.
I like talking. See, I told you before, I don't interact. I don't socialize too much.
I know.
So that's why
I'm like
don't get the impression that I'm sociable. It's just because I'm cooped up and I don't really go anywhere. When I eventually get to talk, I don't shut my mouth. It's just like a motor mouth.
Dude, you can talk to me anytime. You're a very nice guy.
Good.
Honestly.
I will put my application in to be your friend.
Put your application, and I like that you're loyal and helpful and reliable. Do you ever come? Not judgmental. Do you ever come to the States? You've been here?
Yeah, I'm hoping to come again in May.
For a festival?
No, just to go with my wife.
For holiday?
Yeah, we went there last September. We went to Sequoia National Park.
Oh, that's pretty.
San Francisco, things like that. But I've been there. I think I've been there 3 or 4 times. I love America, and I am just saying it. Well, you know that I would insult you rather than compliment.
Yeah.
But I do.
If there's one thing I can count on,
yeah,
that's good, man. Well,
you know that I'm genuine when I say that I absolutely love America. I love America. I love California especially, but I'd love it. I'd love to live there.
Well, man, if you ever come to Florida, please give me a heads up. We'll definitely.
I ain't going to Florida. I'll tell you. I've seen some programs based in Florida. It's too hot.
It's hot.
Everyone's sweating. You must have an air conditioning unit on there. Have you got an air conditioning unit on?
No, right now I have the window open because it's cold. It's chilly here now. It's winter. It's winter. It's January 2nd. Today we're recording.
Oh, I did see an advert for Disney World the other day on. That's looking good. There is now.
Oh yeah, that's an hour and 15 minutes away from me. If you come to America, if you come to Florida, you don't want to come. May would be the last time.
I'm not coming at all. I will not go to Florida. Honestly, I watched a program on Netflix. I can't remember what it was. There was 2 seasons of it. I watched the first season, and I just think, God Almighty, it looks hot there. That's all I could. I enjoyed the series, and I just thought, oh fucking hell, it looks hot.
Yeah, it's hot. Like when Anne goes home to England, they never. It's summertime there, but there's no air conditioning. She's totally fine.
Yeah, and although I've got to have air conditioning on all the time. I've got air conditioning in this room. I go to sleep even in the winter with a fan on.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, I just overeat for some reason. I think it's genetic flaw, one of many.
We need another episode. We need you know what we should do? Send you to therapy for 6 months, then have you back on the show.
I wouldn't run out of problems to discuss.
No, this is like the before and after.
Well, the after would be worse in this case.
No, yeah.
What you were doing is unearthing demons that I never knew I had.
Everyone loves therapy. Instead of everyone loves guitar. Dude, thank you for everything. I really appreciate it. Let me wrap this up. Hang on. Thank you so much for your time, man. I know it's so late there. You're a really good guy, and I hope the record does great because you work really hard at it. It sounds fucking wonderful. All your music sounds great. I went back after I listened to, because I hadn't been familiar with you guys. I went back and I listened to 2 or 3 of the other records. The Envisage Conundrum, that was a great record. I mean, just you make great music, and you should feel great about that because it's not easy to do what you do, and you do it well. So thank you. All right, brother. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you made it this far, you have the patience of a saint. And if you enjoyed this interview, please support Godsticks and check out their records and support Darran Charles. And thanks for spending time with us. And most important, remember that happiness is a choice, so choose wisely. Be nice, go play your guitar, and have fun. Till next time, peace and love, everybody. I'm out. Thank you, brother.
Cheers.